Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at. The bottles getting nifty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What's up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, June 2nd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. A middling day yesterday, a 1-1 with 2 pushes in MLB. Frustrating. You know, obviously, if we'd have just backed Gausman and Scherzer, it would have been successful. I begrudgingly will stick to the process here. But that was upsetting. And then the Heat first half was a mess, but we cashed the unders extremely easily. First half under, full game under, was just immediately, and it was just we just knew we were going to cash the whole time. But frustrating. Some good, but some bad as well. Today's a new day, and the importance for us to succeed in June is paramount. Especially, our bankrolls aren't, they're susceptible to struggle. And I have a huge next Saturday, and I would like to not be concerned at all about my bankroll with Belmont 8 days away. And this is the time of year where we succeed. We're focusing on one sport. Now, we are going to break down the Stanley Cup Finals here off the top, but basically we're focusing on one sport, and that's, easier. And we succeeded last year, and we must do it again. And, I was hoping it would start yesterday. Looks like I'll have to start today. And I've only made one bet. I made 2 bets on one game here. And I haven't moved on the Stanley Cup Final, although after spending a lot of time with it, I know exactly what I want to do. Thank you guys for joining us here. Justin McElvey in the house. Tax play of the day is the Diamondbacks, a plus 108, backing Merle Kelly. There were some wild market moves on today's card that have made things trickier. I expect a lot of opportunity for us as we dive deeper in it, but I can understand why you're backing Merle Kelly. He actually hasn't been that good at home this year, but he's just an honest pitcher, and you pretty much know what you're going to get, and that's a quality start going up against the 39-year-old Charlie Morton. Our guy Justin McElvey locked in. Diamondbacks plus 108 stacks play of the day. Vin Buckets in the house. What up, Vin? Mr. Lewis, Texas Rangers money line. I think that's the sharp side, Mr. Lewis. I think that's what I'll end up on. But I do want to talk it out with everybody. Rocco Rogers says, let's get it. He's on the Diamondbacks, and Merle Kelly as well. Kelly over strikeouts as well. Great job yesterday on that small slate, Rocco. Nuke Worker says, happy Friday, fellas. Picked up my American cash this morning, so I'm ready for Sin City this next weekend. Let's get down to business. Nuke, pretty easy for me on the Saturday that you're in Vegas, and that is Forte to win. Forte to win. Top Crocodile in the house. Great to see you guys. Justin McElvey he's also on that Kelly strikeouts over. Londo ready to get to work. Larry Garr. Play today, Rockies, Royals over 9 for Larry Garr. Rockies, Royals over 9. That's now Chase. We had some messed up stuff yesterday with thinking that Chase Anderson was going to pitch, and then he's going to be pitching today. At least I had the time to study Chase today. There's Reese Olson also with his first career start in the majors. Jordan Lyles is he's been terrible. There's no getting around it. 16 home runs allowed. He did throw a completo against the White Sox at home, just 2 home starts back. He did allow 4 earned runs in that game and 2 homers, but he threw 9 innings in that one. Justin McAvee says public going to bet the Braves. There's Jay Smooth. Slatsy says slowly getting back into MLB 4-0 yesterday. And he says new Gosman show up big. And shout out to Mr. Met Tommy Gunn on his call for the Mets. When Philly got up 2-0, I was like, God, the markets are, they really do let us know what to do. And then, of course, Mark Kanya looking very good right now. Hits that 2-run shot. And the Mets cover the first 5 -0.5. They cover the full game -1. And there's the spreadsheet play today from Ron Crawford, fresh off cashing yesterday. He is on the Rockies. Colorado Rockies plus 105 here for our guy, Ron Crawford. Serious business, ready to get to work. JT Eel, Robert Franklin, Morgan Spooner says, let's go. It was an absolute fire yesterday. Proceeding with caution today. All the dogs look alive. Equinimus, ready to get to work, says, what a hot night last night. I love it. Rich H says, Stanley Cup Finals Eve, dropped the puck already. RVD 420. J-Dub, there's Sanka. Great to see you, Sanka. Mike M in the house says, Cash out Ramirez RBI. Are you watching Mike M's RBI? The plays that he puts in the chat? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. We need to come up with an RBI play today for you. We got to come up with a catchy name because, man, that is you're just absolutely killing it right now. Absolute respect. Joe Yurkovich says Nationals best value bet tonight. Vitalis in the house says you know how hard it is to sweep a team in a 4-game series. Arizona is the real deal. There's Dennis Trust. He said crushed the Red Sox last night. That was the only game he was on. Morgan Spooner says Nats with Gray money line looks so tempting. Josiah Gray on the hill. That's going to be a fun one to break down. Troy Torrance says, let's go. I'm ready to get this money. Christopher Comentini also liking Forte. There is Joe Yurkovich, Dutch boy fresh. Says, salute to the panel, all the real ones who showed up for the live NBA stream. Says Nuggets was easy. Yeah, they just dominated. And the under, I mean, was there an easier... Has there been an easier total this year than that under? I mean, it was just from the get-go. It was funny. I was like, I don't expect the Nuggets to come out and hit their threes in the first quarter. And they didn't hit their first three until there was a minute left in the first quarter and still covered easy. I mean, they only had missed 4 up to that point. But the Quinnimus says Nuggets took a nasty dump on the Heat. Might be smelly come game 2. There's Danny Lopez. Piker said Cincy, the sharpest look on the card, but there are others. Piker says we're going to win today. Let's go. BJ on Marlins and Phillies MLB bets today for our guy BJ. Top Crocodile said, try to tell people to stay off the Heat. History shows the layoff helps teams, not hurts. Ray Charles ready to go. Love it. Johnny Gunn says, I'd say this past 10 days, you really have to pick your spots when playing the market. Some spots have just been wrong, and a few have been spot on. The one thing that we've been seeing a lot of success with is when there's 90% of cash on one side and the market moves on the other. It's just pretty simple. Jose flipped yesterday to the over in the Guardians Twins game, and 13 runs were scored with a total of 8. So, but I agree, Johnny Guns. It's the market will always be a gray area that we try to find clarity with, and we'll see what our numbers are at the end of the year. Obviously last year it was very successful, but it has to be successful every year, so we will see. Troy Torrance says, yeah, Mike hasn't missed an RBI prop from what I've seen. Yeah, it's just running so nice. There's Razor Sharp Picks, says he has a 2-horse pick today. We'll drop those soon. And today is Razor Sharp Picks last day at his 9 to 5. This is a richly rewarded situation that he's in. He worked his ass off to have this opportunity to quit his day job. It's so great for Razor, but it's even better for our community. It's even better for cappers to see that if you work your ass off and you do the right things and you succeed, then you can quit your job and cap for a living. And it's so exciting. It's just inspiring is what it is. Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks. Slatsy says, have a nice Panthers future plus 950. Oh, sorry, let me get back. Thanks to Birdie, but not comfortable and did a small hedge on Vegas. Panthers own 5 last 5 meetings. Vegas under 5-0. Panthers last 5 road games. We're going to start off with that. There's our guy, Jay Peasy. That's the first sound you hear when our show starts. It's the smooth bars of our Jay Peasy, who drops our intro song. Love it. And thank you for that, man. Dennis Trusty says, only question, Razor, is any from Penn National? Lucas Ryan said the Guardians made me a separate bankroll. Nice job, Lucas. And there's the first spot. Razors horse of the day, Delaware Park Race 6, the 2 Cloud Music. We are 8 days away. 8 days away from our Belmont Stakes stream. And I'm very excited about it. And it doesn't start that early. It's not a 10:30 a.m. start. It's 11:20 a.m. start, which is better, especially when you start with a shot. It's better. All right, and there's the second one. Razor Sharp pick. Second one is at Pimlico, race 4. Ballyhooly at 6-1. Ballyhooly at 6-1. There is a professional day or whatever the hell it's called. So I'm going to try not to get annoyed by the sounds of my sweet kids. I need to remind myself that they're very sweet kids and not to lose my shit and to stay focused. Nate Dog 420 in the house. There's Mr. Heat, J Dub. Jordy Nordman ready to get to work. Says, been way too long. Great to be back. Miss all y'all. All right, it is time to get to work. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's get into the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. This was extremely enjoyable studying it. It's 2 very, very exciting hockey teams that both deserve to be here. And that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. You can also hope that you have a future on one of them, which I don't. Stanley Cup Final Game 1, Florida Panthers at Vegas Golden Knights in T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll start with the lines. And it was minus 135 plus 115 at Bet365. It's moved back 5 cents. We'll go over the pinnacle market moves. From a futures standpoint, the Knights are minus 130 to win the series. The Panthers are plus 110. I've gone full circle with my cap on this, full circle. And I know exactly how I will be handling this. Vital says I'm hearing over 5.5. I think that I've always felt that to play at a high defensive intensity requires playing every second day. And we're going to talk about this break that the Panthers are on right now. The Panthers are on a 9-day break. Now, we just heard Tom Crocodile talk about how that affects NBA teams and how it helps the team that's been off for 9 days. I worry about the defensive intensity in hockey. There's been 3 other teams that have had a longer break. The 1919 Montreal Canadiens, that Stanley Cup final was scrapped because of a flu epidemic. The 2019 Boston Bruins and the 2003 Anaheim Ducks. Both those teams lost the Stanley Cup in 7 games. That the 2003 Anaheim Ducks squad, I'll never forget Paul Kariya getting knocked out cold on the ice from a Scott Stevens hit and then scoring the overtime winner in that very game. What a guy is. Now, I'm sure it's affected him. I'm sure he can't look at a bright light, and my heart goes out to him. But that was absolutely spectacular. North Vancouver's own Paul Kariya. Okay, so let's get into this. Londo liking the under 5.5. Nate Dogg saying, yes, Vegas should have the momentum at home tomorrow. I'm excited to break this down with you guys. Very, very excited. This was a really fun spot. You mean, talk about even that 2003 Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, we had this Devils team that was trapping and Scott Stevens laying people out. There's some exciting hockey going on here. First off, we'll start with between the pipes. Sergei Bobrovsky. It's hard to believe that we are sitting here with Bobrovsky, remembering that he was a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner. It's crazy. He was bad during the regular season. I am surprised that there was a 30-year-old journeyman that was chosen over him. If Spencer Knight had been, not dealing with, off-ice demons, he would have been picked over Bobrovsky. But there's no question about it that Bobrovsky is playing elite level goaltending. 11-2, 2.21 goals against average, 935 save percentage, 1 shutout. Aiden Hill is also delivering elite level goaltending. No doubt about it. 7-3, 2.07 goals against average, 937 save percentage, 2 shutouts. He let in that weak goal to Delandria, that weak goal, but he bounced back with a shutout. He's playing at a very, very high level. There's really interesting stats here, and they tell a tale of 5-on-5 dominance. The Vegas power play during the regular season was not very good. It hasn't been good here in the playoffs. 20.3% in the regular season, 18.5% in the playoffs. The Vegas penalty killing was not good in the regular season. It's been even worse in the playoffs. And they've won faceoffs, though, and that's important. And they stopped the Stars from dominating the faceoff circle. Again, very important. There's our guy, Turnsey, in the house. His play of the day is Las Vegas. Slatsy says Jonathan Marchessault points prop. Remember, he was left unprotected by the Panthers, and Vegas claimed him. He should be motivated. I'll discuss that, and I disagree. And he, he says like it's 6 years ago. I'm very thankful to the Panthers organization, but we'll discuss all of that. The Panthers have been different. Their power play, every single part of their game, except for their faceoffs, has elevated. Their power play has looked excellent, and their penalty killing is at 71.2%. And you could say, look, that penalty killing is poor, but it's not. Their penalty killing has actually been a very strong. Let me see if I can. They've given up. So they're at 71.2%. You could look at it and say that was bad. 11 of those goals were in the first round against the Bruins. They gave up 2 power play goals in 4 games against the Hurricanes. And those 2 power play goals were in game 1. They went 8 for 8 on the penalty kill through the final 3 games. So they've elevated their game in every conceivable way. The Florida Panthers have. So no, the game is tomorrow night, Saturday night. That's when we do things. Great job, DC Capper, coming off a monster night. I love hearing that. Okay, so here we go. This is the setup here, and as we go through it, you'll hear how I'm betting it. So the Golden Knights are back in the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since that inaugural season, 2017-2018. They lost in 5 against the Washington Capitals. They've made 2 Stanley Cups and 4 conference finals in 6 years. To put that in perspective, the Vancouver Canucks have made 3 conference finals in 53 years. You wonder why I despise. I had, my guy Dutch Boy Fresh gifted me a beautiful Vegas Golden Knights hat, and I was wearing it. And I plan to wear it on the show. I can't wear it. Okay, sorry. There are 6 players who remain, and I will be able to wear it. Sometimes I get angry when I see fans have this joyous ride, and I know what it's like being a fan of the Vancouver Canucks. So I just, I have an inner rage that fires up. There are 6 players who remain from that Golden Knights original expansion roster. Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb, part of a spectacular defensive group that we will discuss. Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith. Marchessault's moved up to the first line. Riley Smith is bouncing between the second and third line. Riley Smith was kind of invisible in the last series, and there were questions going out about him, but he's been strong. Jonathan Marchessault has been spectacular. William Karlsson. He will be in charge of Matthew Tkachuk. He was in charge of Connor McDavid, and he was in charge of Rupee Hintz, and he was excellent. I didn't realize how good of a hockey player William Karlsson was, and William Carrier, who was unbelievable. This 4th line for Las Vegas is another example of how deep they are. Las Vegas's 4th line is unbelievable Corsi numbers, and the 3rd pairing, the White Cloud pairing, has spectacular Corsi numbers. When you have a team that's that deep and your weakest spots, like where's Phil Kessel? He doesn't touch the ice. No one's thinking about putting Phil Kessel. This is a deep, strong hockey team, and that 4th line is very, very good. So as was mentioned in the summer of 2017, the Panthers traded Riley Smith to Vegas in exchange for Vegas saying that they would select Jonathan Marchessault. Dale Talon's come out and said that was a mistake. He wanted to make sure that because you could at that time you could only hold on to 7 forwards and 3 defensemen and 1 goaltender. That was the 2017 expansion draft, and those 3 defensemen, he wanted to keep 4 of them. And Talon's come out and said that was a mistake. Only 1 is still on that team, and that's Ekblad. I don't believe there's any animosity. There was, and Marchessault and both Riley Smith talked about it when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals, and in 2018. And something about that Stanley Cup Finals was there was a huge celebration in Vegas for that, and the Golden Knights were just excited to be there. They were so excited to be there, and the Florida Panthers only have one guy who's won a cup in Eric Staal. There's a lot of Florida Panthers players who are so excited to be there. This is not the time to be excited to be here. What happened when the Oilers got to the Stanley Cup Finals and they were excited to be there? They got swept. Wayne Gretzky's Oilers got swept by the New York Islanders in 4 games. Let's talk about who has been there for the Golden Knights. Alec Martinez, he won the Stanley Cup twice, 2012 and 2014 with the Kings. Pietrangelo and Barbashev, who's been amazing. They won the cup with the Blues in 2019, won in 7 games in Boston. That 7th game in Boston, they were a part of. That's those are important pieces. Let's talk about this forward group that's been succeeding. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be kind of caught up here. I want to go back over all of the comments. I'm very interested. I'm so interested in them. RVD on the over 5.5 says Knights will be up by the first period. Florida will come out strong, come back. But I'm on the side and on the over there. First period over 1.5 for Razor Sharp picks. And Nate Dogg saying I think Vegas is more physical, more experienced than Florida. Vegas will be in front of Florida net more often. Christopher Comentini is absolutely right. There's no excitement for Vegas being there. They've experienced that. And what happened? They got steamrolled. There was no celebration after winning the Western Conference. They claim they went back into the room and it was business. They knew what was ahead of them. JT Eel says everything seems to point to Vegas, but I'm taking into consideration the energy of this Florida team, what I've seen in the locker room, the Tkachuk factor, and we're going to discuss all that. Lucas says every time Jimmy mentions my Blues win the cup, I get a little bit bulbous. I hear that, man. That was a wild run. So you have Eichel, who has been good. He's an elite forward. I don't know how good he is, but he's elite. I don't think he's the best player on Vegas, but there's times where his offensive prowess steps to the forefront. He had 18 points in 17 games. There's 6 players with 14 points during the postseason. Marchessault is a sniper. He's just a snipe job. Now he's 5'9", and in 2017, it was around the time when there was still some disrespect for the small forwards. Barbashev has been excellent. 15 points, 6 goals, 9 assists. Mark Stone, he's such a leader out there. He wants this so badly. When this is done, I'm sure Mark Stone's going to have back surgery again. In fact, if they win the Stanley Cup, when is Mark Stone? There's going to be a story about Mark Stone's back and how messed up it is. If they win the cup, who knows if he plays again? That's how messed up his back is. Carlson, 14 points, 10 goals, but it's his defensive responsibilities that have been so fantastic. Chandler Stevenson, for me, is the best forward on the Vegas Golden Knights. He's big, he's fast, he's defensive, he's accountable, he does everything. And then you have Riley Smith with 2 goals, 9 assists. So Carlson held Rupee Hintz to 2 assists in the last 5 games of the Western Conference Final. 2 assists. No goals. Rupee Hintz is a sniper. And it was Carlson's job to shut that down. It was excellent practice for Carlson. Now, it's going to be a little different with Tkachuk because, Tkachuk lines up on the wing. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. I'm going to be staring right at it. But it's going to be Carlson's job. But there's going to have to be give and take. There's going to have to be a lot of communication. We talked about the Knights' power play and penalty killing not being very strong. They've dominated 5-on-5. They've simply dominated 5-on-5. They have 49 5-on-5 goals, by far the most. Carlson is on their 3rd line and Carrier is on their 4th line. this defense is so deep with Petrangelo and Theodore. We know they're elite. And then you have Nicholas Haig and White Cloud giving up 1.01 goals per 60 minutes. That makes them the best Corsi D-men in the entire playoffs. Now we're talking the Vegas's third line defensive pair has the best numbers of any defensive pair in the entire playoffs. So the Panthers come back to the final for the first time since 1996. They were swept 4-0 by the Colorado Avalanche. I was watching in double overtime when UV Krupp scored the game winner. It was like a little knuckler from the point and actually won me a hockey pool. It was a very exciting night for a 1-0 game. Eric Stahl won the Cup with the Hurricanes in 2006. He played in the pretend Stanley Cup Final in 2021 with the Canadiens. And Mark Stahl is being excellent. I can't believe how good his brother Mark has been. Now, this is a fact. This is what I believe is a fact. I mean, these are gray areas, but the Panthers have the two best forwards in this series. There's nobody better than Tkachuk and Barkov. There are cappers that rightfully believe if you have the best player, then you have the most likely chance of winning. Well, Florida have the best two players in Tkachuk and Barkov. Tkachuk, 21 points in 16 playoff games. He went for 109 points this year, Hart Trophy finalist. Scored 4 goals in the 4-game sweep. 2 were in overtime. 1 was that series clincher with 4.9 seconds left. That was trash. The penalty shouldn't have been called, but whatever. Sam Bennett is a little monster. When he hit Jacob Slavin, that series was over. That was 1 minute and 25 seconds into the game. 1 minute and 25 seconds into the game, he destroyed the Hurricanes' best defenseman. He is an absolutely spectacular forward. And if you talk about an executive who had no respect for how spectacular it was, Treliving, he's now the general manager of the Leafs because of this, old school bullshit in the NHL. They just pass around these old fucking white guys who do a shit job. Treliving shouldn't be allowed to be a manager of a hockey team if he has no understanding of the importance of truculence. Treliving gets to have the dream job of managing the Toronto Maple Leafs. What a fucking ass clown he is. Looks at a 5'11" forward, Sam Bennett, and says that I just get him off the team. And now you get a new job and a huge contract. It's fucking trash. The defense for the Florida Panthers is very interesting. Stahl's been excellent. Ekblad now no longer needs to be the number one because he can't be. But Brandon Montour has now gone 8 games without a point. 8 games without a point. He's a +2 over that span. When this is all said and done, I'm moving on the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I expect to move on them in every game in this series. I will move on them to win the series, not with a regular size bet. I will bet them in game 1. I will also make a regular bet on them to win game 1 and to win the series. I'm not going to make big bets to try and clean up the futures that have lost, but I'm going to invest in the series, and I'm going to invest in the Vegas Golden Knights. Joe Yurkovich says, who had a tougher road to get here? I believe Vegas did, but beating the Boston Bruins was the toughest out. Now, that was a Boston Bruins team that had Krejci and Bergeron hurt, which made things easier. Toronto and Carolina, a very professional group, but was missing scoring. And Svechnikov was such a big piece of the puzzle. Then they lose Slavin. I mean, they're lucky that series ended in 4. I mean, if Slavin wasn't coming back, what the hell? What were they going to do? So I believe the Oilers, the Stars, and the Jets were tougher, but that could be argued. You could say that they both took tough routes to get here, and they both made it look quite easy. The way Florida took out Toronto and took out Carolina made it look very easy. So there you go. There you go. All right. That's it. And that was fun. It's going to be a really fun series. It was fun to break down. And I'm on the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and I haven't bet them yet. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to do it. The series at minus 130, I think that's a fair price. The game, I was thinking, I almost was thinking, and I've got to figure this out, and I'm pretty much there. But I was thinking at one point earlier to bet every game, not only on the minus one line, but also the money line. Now, it looks like the numbers are set up for me to be able to do that, but then I've got to really weigh. I could just make a bigger bet on the minus one, but I would like to guarantee profit on the money line and also have the minus one there. And then that actually sounds a little more appealing saying that out loud now. And I want Vegas to win game one in the series. That'll be a smaller bet. I want all. I want it all. I want all, and I want the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And Joe Yerger says it looks like a deep series, 7 games. I don't think so. And anybody who is backing the Florida Panthers, Real Deal Prime says Florida 8 seed, tougher road for show. I don't think so. I don't think Toronto and Carolina are tougher than Edmonton and Dallas. But again, that's very argumentative. And everybody who believes in the Panthers, you have every right to believe in them. And my breakdown is just my breakdown. So it's just what I think will happen. And you have every right to trust your gut and trust your instincts. And Panthers are a real quality hockey team. The problem is they're pretty excited to be here. It's really important to get to a final and to lose. It's so important. And it's in my estimation, a huge advantage for the Golden Knights. All right. Okay, let's get into MLB, and thank you guys for hanging with me for that breakdown. I love the sport very much, and I think this is a great showcase for the sport. Okay, let's go. We get into MLB, and Johnny K. Florida did it once 27 years ago. Yeah, and that was a wild run too as a long shot. Look, I tell you, it's going to be great. Saturday night, baby. I know where I'll be. I'm pumped up, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's get into MLB and bring on our guest. We only get him almost twice a month, basically. We get him every second Friday, and we have to take advantage of it. We have to get that cash. How many times can you cap with someone who's being drafted in the league we are capping, being signed by a professional team in the league we're capping? There are going to be insights from him that you just can't get. The fact that he was a pitcher helps us break down pitchers. We have to use the gift that is Dabracadabra to the best of our abilities. Let's get after it right now. Please welcome from Dallas, Texas, Daby Cab. Daby, how are you, my friend?
Well, Jimmy, I'm good, man. We got the chat in here cooking. I've already been looking. We got a bunch of games, 15 games to talk about. I mean, it doesn't get better than this, man.
There is a lot on the line, my man. There is a lot on the line. Let me move my odds over here so it's all set up. I was having some computer issues here, but they've all fixed themselves, so everything is going to be fine. Let's move this over to Pinnacle. And we have some fascinating situations. We have some young pitchers. We have MLB debuts. We have it all on today's card. Let's start with this. Have you already made bets and have you tweeted those out?
Only 2. I'm open to making more, but the 2 that I've tweeted out, I'll pull up right now. I got the first 5 over in the Tampa-Boston game. 4.5.
Okay, wait. Let me grab these while we here. So you have already moved on the first. So what did you get?
First 5 over in Tampa-Boston game. It's 4.5 at minus 115. And then this next one's a little juiced. I took the Braves team total over 4.5 at minus 122.
A Braves team total over 4.5 here. Grab that. Here we go. So Cab is on the Braves Team total over 4.5 at minus 122. I have already moved. I have doubled up on unders in Yankees Dodgers. First 5 under 4.5 at minus 120. Full game at under 8.5 at minus 120. Again, on these Fridays, I'm 10-3 on the bets I've made before the show started, and they have not all correlated. And this one didn't either. There were big bets on the over, but Pinnacle had moved it to 8. And there was enough for me and my X's and O's to pull the trigger. So that's what we've moved on pregame. Let's get this.
One of the things I've learned from Pete, Jimmy, is that Pinnacle is a good book as a telltale sign of where their line is compared to other ones.
Absolutely. There's so much that we learned from Pete. And and then the red flag when Pinnacle's giving you the best line for something.
Which is what I took in that Boston game. That first 5 over, the best line came from Pinnacle. So and that's what I was thinking about it, but I still pulled the trigger on it because you're seeing it 5, you're seeing it 5.5. It's all over the place right now. And we'll talk about it when we get there. So
it's we are a team that is improving every year and every season, and you're a huge part of our comeuppance. Kong's Clip says, "Hey Jimmy, I just started watching hockey this year for the first time. Really enjoy it, but just off the looks, I put money on Florida. Not know, Kong's Clips. There's nothing. Anybody on Florida can believe in what they saw and trust in what they saw, and there's a father of one of Ella's kids, and this will be the last, and then we'll go right into MLB. But there's a father of one of the kids at Ella's school, and he's been wrong in every single sporting thing he's ever said to me, and and he really believes the Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup. So just don't know if that makes you uncomfortable, but he's like.
The only one that makes me uncomfortable is Razor, but Razor's my guy, so shout out to Razor.
Okay, let's go. All right, let's get to work here. We start at 5:10 p.m. Eastern. Milwaukee Brewers 29-27, 13-15 on the road at the Cincinnati Reds 26-30, 14-14 at home. We're at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio. Let's start with both of the Ballpark Pal. Let's refresh this and Swish Analytics. Joe Yurkovich was kind of in a very kind way was implying that Swish Analytics was not giving me all the information, and it is proved to be he's right. Just for a quick example, why I'm going to use both from now on. The Dodgers game, it's 9.8 miles per hour out to right. It goes down to 7.4, but it's not that warm. It's kind of cold. Not cold, but chilly. In LA gets cold at night, but it's blowing out 9.5, and Dodger Stadium has a plus 5% home run rate and a minus 9% doubles and triples and minus 3% run rate. So Ballpark Pal is going deeper than just looking at the weather and where it's blowing. So we're going to use both. At Great American Ballpark today, by far the most offensive weather on the board. We have 90 Fahrenheit weather. It's blowing 6.9 miles per hour in. That's why we need to add Ballpark Pal into the equation. 18% plus 18% home runs, plus 18% doubles and triples, plus 20% runs. There's no other ballpark today that has double digits in the plus. In fact, there's no other ballpark that has double digits in the negative. But Great American Ballpark, a 20% more than a regular day at this ballpark. You have Corbin Burns on the hill for the Brewers going up against Brandon Williamson, 25-year-old second-round pick in the 2019 draft. Let's start with the line history here. This opened up with the Brewers at minus 169, and they're now at minus 157. How could this possibly be? Even last night, when there was a 7-cent move or 8-cent move, I was like, well, why is it not more? This got up to that minus 177. And since then, at 6:36 this morning, since 6:36, there's been a 20-cent move to the Cincinnati Reds. That is an enormous move that is shocking. From a totals perspective, this opened up at 9.5, and it's now at 10. The interesting thing about this, though, and we've, however you want to use this in your capping, it got up to 10 and went back down to 9.5, and then it's back at 10 again. When it first got to 10, it lasted there for a legit amount of time. Let's pull this up. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. The first time it got to 10, so it got to 10 40 minutes after this line came out. This is with limits. And it lasted there for 1 minute. So cappers started moving on the under immediately. Corbin Burns, 4-4, 3.68 ERA, 1.19 whip, 59 Ks, 63 2/3, 9 home runs. He took the Brewers to arbitration and lost and hurt his feelings. However that's going to play in, I don't know, but they said that it was his fault that they didn't make the playoffs last year. 7 innings, 4 hit, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, 3 walks, and a 3-1 loss at home to the Giants. On the road, he's been good. 3.26 ERA, 200 opponents batting average. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot here. Where are you? There we go. All right, here we go. So game 1 of 15. We have 77% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on the Milwaukee Brewers, and we've had a 20-cent move to the Reds at Pinnacle in the last 5 hours. Then from a total perspective, 69% of tickets and 72% of cash on the over. The question is, Brandon Williamson. Yeah, he hasn't looked good. He's coming off an 8-5 win at the Cubs, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 Ks, 3 walks. But the Cubs smash lefties. Who doesn't smash lefties is the Brewers, hitting .211 with a .629 OPS. There is one team since May 1st, and this is all since May 1st, that's hitting worse against lefties than the Brewers. And unbelievably, that's the Toronto Blue Jays. The Reds are hitting righties with a .246 average, not in much power at .716. The Brewers bullpen, when they get to their closer, the closer is probably the best in the league. But leading up to him is a bunch of question marks. And the Reds bullpen's been questionable as well. Take it away for us, Daby Cab. Your thoughts on this 25-year-old Brandon Williamson, your thoughts on Corbin Burns, and your thoughts on making money.
Okay, so that line movement, I'm not involved in this game, but I agree with it. First off, the Brewers shouldn't be minus 170 in my opinion. Even with Burns on the mound, he's been struggling this year. I know he had a better outing last time out against San Francisco. I think it was a 3-1 loss, but he pitched well. Just didn't get any run support. Still, I don't think the line should be minus 170 here. One of the things, I don't look into the weird trends where it's like, oh, this team loses on Thursdays and Fridays. But what I do look into is how they play against better competition. It's one of my favorite things in a lot of sports that I cap. In basketball, college basketball, I like to see how teams do against quad 1, quad 2 competition versus lower competition. Same thing in baseball. And you can find those numbers. Cincinnati, they've lost 79 of their last 116 games when playing against a team that has a winning record, which qualifies as the Brewers here in this situation. So against better competition, they're just not there, which we know, but they've been struggling bad. They got a team ERA of 4.94. That's 26. Their opposing hitters batting average is 269. That puts them at 28th in the league there. And they don't make up for their poor pitching with production at the plate, Jimmy. The Reds are only 21st in slugging percentage, tied for 13th in runs scored. And like I said, Burns, he did look a little bit of old last time. He only allowed just 4 hits and 1 run in 7 innings with 8 strikeouts and 3 walks. But he didn't get any of the run support, so he still lost that game 3-1 to San Francisco. All that being said, he has pitched better in his previous 2 starts. And you look at on the other side with Williamson, in his 3 starts, he's been roughed up bad, 2 of them, allowing 10 hits and 8 runs in 8 2/3 innings. So it's hard for me to get back behind him there. I don't see any reason why the Brewers should be minus 170, so I'm off this game. But I also don't believe in Williamson and the Reds. So there's no bet here. I would look towards the total, and I maybe look under. Brewers struggle hitting lefties. Williamson's been bad, but he is a lefty, and the Brewers flat out suck against lefties. I think Burns is getting more into form. So I think maybe the under would be the way if I had a free bet, I'm betting under in this game.
Interesting. It's a fascinating baseball game. And I agree with Joe's call. Like, if you're an underdog shot taker, you must take the Reds here. Wando liking the under 10 a lot. Some fascinating stuff coming from our chat. Troy saying reverse line movements for the home teams in his database. Home teams are 44 and 21 straight up, 68%. However, when it's a home dog, just 8 and 10 straight up at 44%. And then we have Trusty in Louisville saying Williamson's been the hottest commodity for the Louisville Bats, with the city talking about having to see this guy before he left for the Reds. I'll tell you this straight up. I think Corbin Burnes is an elite pitcher, and a lot of people don't.
No, he is.
I think he is, and I don't want to fade him. I think it just comes down to that. I can understand if I had a huge bankroll, and I get it. There has to be a bit of an edge with this price point on the Cincinnati Reds. And that's why there's been this 20-cent move back. I get it. The fact that Williamson has a high upside and the Brewers don't hit lefties, and I get it. But I don't want to take money and put it against Corbin Burnes.
That's where I'm at too. That's where I'm at right here.
So it is a pass for me. Now, if this weather wasn't so electric in this offensive ballpark, I would take the under. Now, it's built into the number. That's why there's a 10. But that's another thing that I don't want to go. I don't want to bet the under. The sides that I would bet, which would be, let's say, the Reds and the under, I don't want. Troy Torrance says Reds first game back at home, he's going to pass, but it's Reds are pass based on line functionality. Joe Yeager says, I have a thing about not betting a team coming from Toronto with no day off. Great to have Noli Knows in the chat as well. All you guys, Curtis Berry, all of you guys. Ryan and Sartell, free bet. Yeah, the free bet is a tricky thing because with a free bet, you're trying to max your potential ROI. And so free bets, you always kind of lean towards the dog. So I don't think asking anyone a free bet, I think asking someone more like, and I think I should stop asking that question to cappers.
What I mean when I say it, Jimmy, is I just mean like, which would never happen. But if somebody was like, hey, here's money, bet this game. That's where my bet would go.
I get
which
it,
would never happen.
But we'll always lean towards a dog in that circumstance. So I know, and I ask it too. I'm realizing that I don't know if it's helpful for us,
Right.
So I'm just, I'm trying to get better at this as we go, as we all are.
Joe just dropped something. Yeah, I was going to say that, Jimmy. I was thinking about that before. I was wondering what that number was. I figured it'd be 5.5. That might be a look right there.
And BJ says Burnes is, middling in his opinion. Look, I get it. And Wash Redskin says Burnes was an elite pitcher. That's all of these takes are completely legitimate. There's TNT joining us. Okay, let's move on to the next spot on the board. Now, Piker says, scared money don't make money. Don't let your bankroll influence your decisions. This isn't a guarantee. It's just the right price at plus money. Look, that is absolutely legitimate too. I do not believe in that scared money approach. As people close to me know, I'm pacing and sweating, leaking, and as scared maybe is not the right word, but when you're putting your own money on the line, you're trying to build a bankroll and you're trying to support a family through it all. It's so goddamn important. And so I don't just fire out shots. And so maybe scared money is the right term, but when people say that to me, and I know, I'm like, are you trying to raise your family off of this? Because if you're not, then you can keep that to yourself. Let's move on to 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Oakland Athletics 12-46, 5-22 on the road. Miami Marlins 29-28, 15-13 at home. We're at loanDepot Park in Miami, Florida. This is a tricky one. This is a very, very tricky one because we have Shintaro Fujinami, who's been horrific out of the bullpen starting this out. Now, this is the way I see it. So let me know if I'm wrong here. Then we have, and I did not mean that's you, Piker. You know I love you. You're my guy, Piker. I'll cab with you until the end of the days. The end days may be near if you ask Pistol Pete Loshak. Very near. But I think we'll be around for a while. You have Hogan Harris as the primary here, and he is a pretty tricky cap. Is it gone? I had Hogan Harris up here. I'll have to pull Hogan Harris back up here. But Hogan Harris is the primary. I had it up. Let me grab it once more here. Piker says, I just think baseball's a volume game. Anytime you're getting plus money at the right place, you stack those bets. No, I agree. But I've never had a concern about the quantity of my action. And I did put Reds question mark there just in case I don't have much action. So I think the 20-cent move to the Reds is completely legit. If I can, I would like my X's and O's to correlate with the market move. And I have a very healthy respect for Corbin Burns. And this is not going to be an easy situation for Brandon Williamson, even if the Brewers don't hit lefties, because it's hot in an offensive ballpark. But let's go to Hogan here. I got it all set up. I was already on this. So this is a third-round pick in the 2018 draft out of Louisiana Lafayette. University of Louisiana Lafayette. And he has been atrocious this year in the show, but we're talking, 2 games he's come in. He hasn't started a game, 5 1/3. He was good in Las Vegas, which is very, very difficult. In 31 innings, 3.77 ERA, a 1.39 whip. 31 Ks and 20 walks is a really poor K to walk ratio. And one of the things the one thing I can bank on is if your K to walk ratio is, and it's hard banking on anything from the PCL league because we see people with high numbers come in and fall apart. But when I see people with bad K to walk ratios, it's the exact same in the show. That doesn't change, and that hasn't changed in a very small sample size for him here. In the 5 1/3, he's struck out 5 and walked 6. So I don't want anything to do with Shintaro Fujinami and Hogan Harris for starters. Edward Cabrera got incredible stuff, but he's tricky to trust. He's been better at home than he's been on the road. 3.60 ERA, 222 opponents batting average at home. And of the 52 innings he's pitched, he's only thrown 20 at home. So I guess the more I think about Fujinami and Hogan Harris and Cabrera coming off the win at the Angels, which was, close to a quality start, the more I find it appealing. The A's are hitting 194 with a 591 OPS versus righties. The Marlins aren't hitting righties either. Now, Hogan Harris is a lefty, and, the Marlins are smashing lefties. So it's important to kind of touch on both. The A's bullpen's been a little bit better, but still atrocious. And the Marlins bullpen has been good. Not, above average. Let's say above average. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Quickly, we have right now the Marlins opening up at minus 179. They're now at minus 192. 13-cent move towards the Marlins. That's a legit move towards them. We also have had a slight move to the over. 8-cent move to the over from minus 106 to minus 114. Then from the cash flow here in this one, we have 73% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the Marlins. It's a lot of money on the Marlins. But, we see a 13-cent move towards them. If you think that this line was probably, close to right in the beginning, then I'm okay with a 13-cent move if you want to move on the Marlins. Then from a total standpoint, 42% of the tickets and 83% of cash are on the under. And yet some offshores have moved this to 9, and we have an 8-cent move to the over. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab, A's, Marlins.
You want just a picture-perfect example of baseball. It's Oakland coming off a series win against the Braves. I mean, who took Oakland to win that series before it started, right? But that's what baseball is. Miami, they have a 9-19 run line record at home this season. the second lowest winning percentage at 32.1% in MLB. They're also 0-4 straight up in Cabrera's last 4 starts during game 1 of a series. So when he's opening it at home, he struggles. I don't think he's going to struggle like a ton, but I wouldn't trust him here. Oakland, like I said, so let me explain it like this, Jimmy. And I've had this conversation with Jose. Shout out to our guy, Jose. For me personally, I know everybody's different, and I see people who cash big tickets on teams like Oakland, and it's impressive. But for me personally, when I cap a game and it goes towards somebody like the A's, I simply stay off the game. For me, I would probably take the A's on the +1.5 run line here if I was going to bet this game. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, I think the volatility is low because I do think the game goes under the total, which means we're getting 8 runs or less. 2, I don't like this Marlins offense, and I don't see them putting up a ton of runs. If they win this game by 1 run, like a 2-1 ball game or a 3-4 ball game, I'm not going to be surprised in the slightest. For me, this cap towards the A's, and I'm going to stay off simply because of that.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to get from Fujinami and Harris. That's my problem.
So one thing I'll say about Harris, he pitched a lot better in his second outing. He was against Houston. He gave up 1 hit, 1 hit in 5 innings of relief work there. And that was a big step up spot where he came in that game. So I think he's going to be able to limit this Marlins team. I just do. I don't have much faith in this Marlins bats.
Even against lefties.
They're hitting like 297 against lefties, so it's great. But there's always like little things that you have to I'll say this: do not cap something and look at a batting average and think that's all that there is to go off of. There's so much more that goes into batting averages than just the average.
Yeah, no, I get it. Oh, nice job, Sharon. Respect, man. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to be on this spot, where the A's might have a little bit of momentum. There was a lot of thought that maybe they went out and partied in South Beach. They had yesterday off, but if they were smart, they would have flown in on Wednesday night and party Wednesday night and regrouped on Thursday. And, this has been a horrific year for the A's. So, to take 2 or 3 from the Braves, get it to the club, have some drinks with some friends, hydrate all Thursday, get back to work Friday. Maybe it's a bonding thing for them. I'm not, the more we talk about it, the more I don't want to be involved. I don't know how you would get involved here. Like I wouldn't want, we've talked about not trusting the Marlins offense to win by over, by more than a run. If you want this, it's a -200 at Bet365 and a +100 on the run line. The juice is just going to be too hefty. Nutflush Allen looking at the Marlins team total right now. I could see that. The last thing you want is, like, I've made it through unders with Cabrera, but when he starts walking batters, it gets very dodgy. It's 4.5 at -140. Maybe the markets have bet this out of our comfort zone because they don't want us on it. There's Dami Gunricci. Excellent call yesterday, Dami, on your Metropolitans. Morgan Spooner, Miami, first 5 is -130 or -0.5, first 5. Yeah, I could see that. But again, it comes down to it. I don't want to trust Cabrera here, but he's got excellent stuff. And maybe he puts it together here. Let's just see what that first 5 -0.5 would be here quickly. For me, first 5. Wow. Oh God, it must be the winning bet. It's not being offered. Wow. It's not being offered at Bet365. Wow. They're not offering the first 5 alternate lines. Offering the 7 and the 3. Wow. That's wild. That is a surprise. Wow. Why would they not be offering it? That makes me think that the first 3 -0.5 -110 might be the play. Here's a book that offers you every single possible bet in every sport and is not offering the first 5 -0.5. Oof. All right. That's, I hate to let things like that drastically change my opinion, but that's wild that they wouldn't offer it. Why on earth would they not offer it? Yeah, you can't phone them anymore, Brian. But they're not offering first 5 alternate lines. Oh, that's got to be the winning bet, man. All right, I'm going to see what Bet Online is offering it at, or maybe if I want to use the local, I'll take the first 3. Wow. Okay, I guess I've become somewhat interested. I've become somewhat interested. So I'm going to figure that out now. Whether it be a first 3 or first 5, but Bet365 makes disgusting amounts of money, and there's a reason why they're not offering it, and there's a reason why my local acts as if he's Bet365 and not a different book, because he knows that they make a ton of money and make the right decisions. Okay, so you are off that spot, Debbie.
Yeah. Yes, okay. Sorry, first time.
All right, let's move on. 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Phillies 25-31, 11-21 on the road. At the Washington Nationals 24-32, 11-17 at home. Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. Let's get to the weather here in Washington, D.C. We have, here we go. 88 Fahrenheit. It's hot. The wind begins. This is a reason why I do like Swish better, because if you were to see what's the weather at first pitch, 7 miles per hour, right to left, slightly in, this becomes out. 2 hours into the game, it's out to left center. So the weather or the wind is changing pretty brisk. And you'll look at the weather and you'll see, 7 miles per hour in, because it's so hot and sticky, that this is actually the second, tied for the second most offensive ballpark. It's probably the most offensive ballpark, really, but with runs, it's just tied at 9%, plus 9%. It's a plus 7% home run rate, plus 11 doubles and triples, and plus 2% singles here. So Zach Wheeler, and Dummy Gun says Swish tops weather 100%. I want more information. I'm starting to think that Ballpark Pal is the best. I'm starting to think, but whatever gets you to the cash. BJ says Phillies will hit gray today.
I've got some numbers on that when we get into it, so
Well, let's quickly set this table so we can hear said numbers. And it looks like Piker is heavily invested as well. So first off, we'll talk about the line history. This one opened at the Phillies minus 175. They're now minus 178. The Phillies have they hit minus 180 once, but 2-cent move towards the Phillies. From a total perspective here, we have it opening up at 8.5. It's moved to 9. I think you can say that that's weather related, but it's never moved to 9.5. So this moved from 8.5 to 9. The first time it moved to 9, it was there for about 24 minutes until it's back to 8.5. So that is interesting. It's at 9, juice to the under. So we have a move to the over and no move on the side. Let's pull up the cash flow and see if it correlates there. We have 49% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the Nationals. So the reason why it's not moving is because it actually has 50-50 money. Then you have 45% of tickets, 78% of cash on the over. Zach Wheeler coming off a beautiful start at Atlanta. One of the questions I would like for you to touch on when you roll here, which will be in 30 seconds, is, you have a start against the boss of your division in Atlanta, and you are spectacular. 8 innings, no earned runs, 3 hits, 12 Ks, 1 walk, and now you face the worst team in your division, a minnow, on the road. Is that tricky? Because he hasn't been good on the road this year. Now with that spectacular start against the Braves, now he's 3.68 ERA and a 254 points batting average, but he didn't have good numbers before that. Josiah Gray coming off a pretty ugly start at Kansas City. He only made through 4 innings, 4 Ks, 3 walks. His K to walk ratio is not where he wants it, 51 Ks to 31 walks, but he's not getting hit hard, not getting barreled nearly as much. Just 6 home runs allowed in 61 2/3. At home this year, he's been strong. just 21 innings. So here's another pitcher who has a 2.77 ERA. His whip is elevated at 1.41, but who has had a 40, just under 41 innings on the road and just 21 at home, where he's got a 2.43 ERA and a 250 opponent's batting average. And the Phillies aren't hitting righties. Since May 1st, 245, 684. The Nats are hitting righties harder than the Phillies, 263, 733. The Phillies bullpen has been quite good, while the Nats bullpen seems to be slipping. They were mediocre at times. Now they're bad. Take it away for us here at Daby Cab, Phillies, Nats.
First thing I'll do is answer your question before I get into that. I guess there's layers to this. If Wheeler had been doing better than he had this year, I would say that's a huge red flag to stay away. Because of his start against the Braves. But due to the fact that he's kind of got his tits ripped a lot this season and struggled a lot, he better be locked in right now. I mean, if he's not, his numbers are going to go right back to where they were. So I think due to the fact that he's been struggling, he should be locked in. But yes, if somebody's just dealing, if you got an ace that's just dealing and they go against the Braves, they throw an 8-inning shutout, yeah, I'd stay the fuck away from him next game against the Nationals. But this doesn't really line up for that situation simply because he's been struggling throughout the season.
That's a good answer. I like it. Keep rolling.
Okay, gotcha. So, like with that struggle, Phillies are in need of wins here. And we've talked about it. Zach Wheeler's gym against the Braves last time. He's also done very well against the Nationals, okay? He's had 12 innings against them last season. He only gave up 1 run. And then you look at the Nationals OPS is just 683 against right-handed pitching this season, so they've been struggling, even though, like you said, they're doing a little better of late. Josiah Gray, first off, I think Josiah Gray is a great pitcher. I think he's got a very big upside. I think that this total is interestingly high. I would have put it at like 8.5 with these two pitchers. And I know it's just a half a run, but a half a run's a lot. Josiah Gray has not done well against the Phillies. He's got 25 innings registered against them. He's given up 15 runs in those 25 innings. That's a 5.4 ERA. And just behind him, too, the rest of the Nationals pitching has been exploited. They've given up 21 runs in their last 3 games. With the Phillies team that's just struggling for wins, this might be an opportunity for them to beat up on a lower team. I would look probably with the Phillies' first 5-run line if I'm betting this game, and I might. This is one of the leans that I'm close to getting to.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to go over once more. First off, Gray, I'm not concerned about what Gray's numbers are against Philadelphia because he is like in the Hunter Green elk where they're different pitchers this year, in my estimation. So that doesn't concern me. He hasn't faced the Phillies this year.
Right.
The second question is then, does the offensive weather and the heat concern us enough to just stay off of this? Because I am interested in this first 5 under 4.5 now. This first 5 under 4.5 got up to 5 at 6 this morning. It lasted there for 2 minutes. But that is concerning. So since it dropped, there's only been a 2-cent move to the over. And then and Darmy says he's feeling runs. Londo agreeing to the Phillies first 5. Let me just see the cash once more. Yeah, 55% of tickets on the other 22% cash. I'm comfortable staying away from this. Wash Redskin says Nats Park, great place to see a game. Yeah, it looks nice. I was always despised the park just because I was an Expos fan, but it does look nice. I'm going to stay off this spot. I don't feel comfortable. Sean Pulliam says, what's Nats team total? That might be a good play. I'll give you it at Pinnacle, which, will generally give you the better number. But the team total for the Nationals is 3.5 at -105. Dommy says I shouldn't say anything. He's not betting. It's okay. You said you're feeling runs. I think you made it clear that you would have said I'm on the over. So don't worry for a second, Dommy. Joe Yeager says Philly's only 1 game better in the standings. That's pretty wild. Okay, I'm off. You want me to write just the lean right now and go back to it? You're muted, my man.
It won't unmute. It wouldn't unmute. That wasn't me.
Okay.
I pressed the button like 7 times.
We don't believe you. But
Okay.
But did you want to move on this, or you want to come back to it?
I will make sure. I'll make sure you and everybody knows if I do. Anything that I bet is going to be tweeted out.
All right. Okay, let's move on. I really there's some fascinating games here, and this is another one. 7:05 p.m. Eastern, St. Louis Cardinals 25-32, 13-16 on the road at the Pittsburgh Pirates, 28-27, 12-13 at home. By the way, I know we'll talk more about this when we get to the Twins game, but my disbelief in the Twins and the injuries that they just dealt with yesterday, and Correa's plantar fasciitis that is going to last all year long, and Buxton's knee injuries, and now he's got the rib, but knee injury last all year long, and Max Kepler's migraines. Look, he's not the same player. I made a legit bet, legit meaning more than a unit, on the Guardians to win that division at plus 380 this morning.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe in the Twins whatsoever.
But after, and I thought this was the perfect time to bet it after they broke the Guardians' hearts last night. But that's my own psychological bullshit. All right, Cardinals. The reason why I think about this is because I have moved on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the exact same number to win the division that when I moved on it, plus 260. And I know Jose got a much better number, but I keep looking at this, and I agree with Jose's call. When I look at the Brewers, I do not see a team that's going to last 162 games and win the division. Londo says it's the Pirates for him here. PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's hot, as we've talked about on the eastern seaboard. Over at Pittsburgh, 87 Fahrenheit, 7.9 miles left to right. By the end of it, it's slightly out. It's actually out to right field, but it's just down to 5.7. There is a no change in the home runs, plus 14% in doubles, triples, plus 9% in runs. So interestingly enough, after this, there's no offensive ballparks. None. So these are the three, and we've talked about them now. Great American Ballpark, Nationals Park, and PNC Park. Other than that, nothing's above 3%. And these are 9, and, of course, Great America was at 20. So this is offensive weather in a pitcher's park. Morgan Spooner saying Pirates home spot. Noli Knows has the Brewers win total under. I like hearing that. And Joey Irvin says Ballpark Pal gives you the hourly time and win report. Morgan saying Pirates home spot, and Christopher Comtini liking the over here again. I think that Jack Flaherty has found himself.
Yep.
I've not made a bet on this game, but he's a pitcher. I always find it interesting when a pitcher is hurt and misses most of a season and comes back, and we know he's a high-end talent and he looks awful. And I just find the whole psychological thing interesting. Ever since Knobloch and the Yips, the psychological part of baseball is absolutely fascinating to me. Cardinals opened up at minus 123. They're now at minus 136. They got up to minus 141 at 10:25 a.m. There was no movement. So we talk about, Noli asking, what do you want to see? Like, what's your perfect situation? You asked me yesterday. I want to see movement right from the get-go. I don't want to see movement. No movement until the public gets after it, because that's what's happened here. The public's gotten involved and there's been movement. I want to see I want to see movement right away, even with the limits at 5:19 p.m. I want to see movement towards the side, and then I want to see less than 50%, hopefully less than 40%, and between 65 and 79% of the cash on that 28 to 38% of tickets. Here, there's movement now. There's legit movement, a 13-cent movement, but I wish it happened right away. Still, I don't dislike it, and I'm still very interested in the Cardinals here. But there were big bets that were placed on the Pirates, and I looked at this as because I had to do radio this morning. This was a game I looked at heavily last night, and I couldn't do anything with it. So full game money line, we've taken a look at that. Where's the total? Sorry, I thought I had that here. And I screwed this up. So let me pull up the total. Just take me a second. I apologize.
You can tell Jose did your graphics. I'm sorry. I just noticed it. I had to say it.
All right. Okay. And here we go. We have the total opened up at 9 and is now at 9.5. It moved to 9.5 at 6:54 this morning. 6:54 this morning. So we have a half run move to the over and a move to the Cincinnati Reds. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. Reds, Pirates. We have 70% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Wow. Very, very, very interesting. 69% of tickets and 98% of the cash on the over. 98% of cash on the over.
Well, I know what I want to bet.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. Let me just touch on Flaherty here. Coming off that 2-1 extra inning win at Cleveland, he looked excellent. 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 4 Ks, 1 walk. On the road, he's actually been better than he has at home. Overall, 3.82 ERA, but opponents hitting 282 off of him. Roansy Contreras was pulled from the starting rotation. He was a start. His last appearance was May 28th out of the bullpen. His last start was May 21st, and he's been lit up at home. 5.54 ERA, 283 opponent's batting average. The Cards are hitting 240, 752 versus righties. The Pirates is 215, 645, and the Cards bullpen's been quite a bit better than the Pirates bullpen here. Take it away. Very interested to hear your breakdown, Daby Cab, Cards, Pirates.
My first lean on this was first 5 under. And then I saw Noli put first 5 under in the chat. And then I heard you say 98% of the cash was on the over. And everything's really telling me that I want to look at this first 5 under now. I probably want to bet it. The Cardinals are winning games when Flaherty's on the mound. They've won each of his last 4 starts. He's a veteran. He's gotten in a groove a little bit, which is, it's telling when you get a vet that gets in a groove. He's only allowed 4 runs in his last 3 starts. And in those 3 starts, he's gone 18 and 2/3 innings. And then against the Pirates, he's got a lot of history, a lot of track record. He's got 84 innings against the Pirates. He's got a 9-1 record with a 2.57 ERA against the rivals. And you look at Contreras, he's not been, you were kind of just touching on that. In May, he's had a 5.18 ERA. He struggles against the Cardinals, posting a 4.43 ERA, a 1.62 whip, which is that's almost 2 people on base every inning. That's just too much. And that's in 20.1 career innings. So it's a smallish sample size, but it's getting up there. I mean, 20 innings is enough to see a little bit of how somebody's gonna roll. And the Pirates have just been stumbling. They're just falling. They're not taking advantage of being at home. They've lost 7 of their last 10 home games. So I like the Cardinals here a lot. I think they're making that number like interesting at the -143 because I don't know. The number is what's kept me off on the Cardinals side. I guess I like the first 5 under a whole lot, and I like the Cardinals in the first 5 here.
Well, I am going to go ahead and move on the Cardinals here. 69% of the tickets, 74% of the cash. I just think that there's times when your future bets will sort of cloud your judgment. But I'll tell you, I think that the Cardinals are much better than their record indicates. I think that Jack Flaherty is much better than his record indicates. I think that there is the Pirates at home dog show a lot of value, generally speaking. Now you have 74% of the cash on the Pirates, and the market's moving towards the Cardinals. Books are opening up their arms to Pittsburgh Pirates cash. This follows my X's and O's.
I'm betting this with you. I just want to know how you're doing it.
Well, Lucas Ryan says that Jack Flaherty is a veteran bum as far as the city is St. Louis is concerned. And he says that, what was the other? He said, we have a saying here in St. Louis, in Jack, we do not trust. I'm the opposite. So, Tone Miggins in the house. Great to see you, Tone. Cards 2 days off in a row, says Joe. Troy says, what do you see on the total for line movement? I'm going to take them to first 5 -1/2, as well as the full game -1. I think they're going to step up for their vet, and on a hot day where offense should be front and center. I can understand that the Cards bats have been cold, but the Pirates bats have been colder, at least since May 1st. And again, some people use 2 weeks. I like a bit of a bigger sample size. I always have, but let's just do the quick look on the total here. So we know it's gone from 9 to 9.5. We talked a bit about that move already. It moved immediately to the over. Immediately, and that's what I want in a spot. I want it now. Now, look, I can now explain the fact that the market didn't go immediately to the Cardinals. It went later, and that's because there was all this bets coming in on the Pirates, and I guess the advanced models in these books had to, take a second look. What? Oh, are we missing? Oh wow, all this money coming. They didn't move it. They didn't move it towards Pirates, but they didn't move it. And then they were like, no, it's fine. Let's open up our arms to this Pirates money. And then the market started moving to make it, more people come in on the Pirates. So this moved to 9.5 at 654. There was only 1 point of buyback on the over. It was between 10:40 and 11 at night. And there was a legit 7-cent buyback towards the under. But I just see constant movement to the over and the move to 9.5. And then cash wise, I see all the money on the over. That doesn't appeal to me. Noli No says Cards 3 runs or less in 7 straight games. So, wow, they've been cold. But now 2 days off. I'm on the Cards, first 5 and full game, -0.5 and -1. And this will be betting after the show. What is your plan here, Cap?
I'm going to ride that first 5 with you. I haven't bet this yet, so I'm going to have to lock it in after the show so we can line shop on this one or whatever the best odds you have available there are.
Let's get it for you. The first 5, and you want it -0.5, or you want to find the best money line? Because we might be able to, we'll find it less than -140.
I'm going to go on the run line here.
Okay, let's do that. Let's just for due diligence, that first 5 would be. Oh, they're not even showing it at Pinnacle. So let's just pull up Pinnacle. Here we go. So I'm getting more and more confident in this bet as I talk about it. The Cardinals' first 5 is just -132 at Pinnacle, and -0.5 it's +103.
Man,
it depends if you think this is going to be low volatility or high volatility. That's the easiest way to do it. And this total's come from 9 to 9.5. If the market's telling us that there's going to be volatility in this game, and if that's the case, I would take the -0.5. If this had gone from 9 to 8.5 or lower, the market's telling us there'll be low volatility, and then I would take the money line. And I always do that. And that's learning that from Pete, and that's worked very well for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go run line here too, because like you said, that the baseball season is so long, and if we get comfortable taking juice over time, that shit is going to just add up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. First 5 -0.5 for Cab. Cards, first 5 -0.5 +103. I'm going to be joining here. All right. Troy Torrance says, in my 8-game sample in this market environment, Cards account for 3 of those games. All 3 went over. Cards won all 3. I like it. I like it very much. Morgan Spooner, it's all good to be on the other side. Remember, there's people who are on camera and they get angry when people are on the other side. I'll never, ever do that. So never feel any concern. We're not all supposed to agree with each other. This isn't us just saying, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And moving forward, it's not like that at all. So Morgan Spooner on Pirates first 5 +0.5 says, can't back Flaherty, classic letdown spot on the road versus the Bucks. Just to touch on this once more, and this is not to get you off here, but I don't know if this is a letdown spot for Flaherty, because this is a divisional baseball game with the foe ahead of them in the standings. He has had 3 starts, 4 of his last 3 starts when he faced a divisional foe. Now it was at home against the Brewers, 7 innings, 10 Ks, 2 walks, and no earned runs. He just seems to care a little bit more when it's in the division. But trust your gut, trust your instincts, and let's roll. There we go. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. And Cab has already moved on this spot. Not only that, but for this Tampa Bay Rays at Boston Red Sox, we are joined by none other than the host of Say Hey Plays of the Day, our friend Jose. Please wipe whatever you see on my tits away. Bouquet. How are you, Jose?
Doing well as always, Jim. Nice to see you. Successful day yesterday, which was nice. Daby thinks he's fucking hilarious today. So
well, I mean, I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong.
He's feeling like a comedian today. So he's
Tell me
feeling
I'm
great.
wrong.
But we had a great day today.
Well, it's nice to see you, my friend. This is a fascinating baseball game. Let's get to work on it. Tampa Bay Rays 14-18, 14-12 on the road. An important number, 14-12 on the road, because they're dominant at home and they're mediocre or above mediocre on the road. Boston Red Sox 29-27, 16-13 at home. We're at Fenway Park in Boston. Let's take a look at the weather first here. 76 Fahrenheit, 6.9 miles per hour in, 6.9 to 7.2. Ballpark Pal has this a minus 23% home run rate, minus 23%. And doubles and triples are up 10%. Singles are up 7%. And runs are only down 1%. So I don't think we should get too caught up in the home run rate, but jacks will be not around as much as you would have thought.
You just got to hit a pop fly to left.
You're right. It is the famed green monster over there. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Let me go back to full game. Oh man, my breathing is not top notch. Okay, let's Glasnow versus Whitlock. We have this opening up with the Rays at minus 118 and now minus 135. Wow. 17 cents of movement. Movement towards the Rays right from the get-go. This didn't come available till 10:27 p.m. last night. So movement to the Rays right from the get-go. So it's a big 17-cent move to the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's take a look at the total here. This total opened up at 9, and it would jump up to 9.5 and back down constantly. Up to 9.5, back down to 9. Nonstop, even this morning. Back and forth, back and forth. Let's move over to the cash flow. Oh, we actually have a new nickname from our guy, John Gilpatrick, Jose Two Tits Bouquet. Oh, yeah.
John was not pleased I jumped in the stream that the other day and talked about your disgusting pussy, I think that was John. He was not pleased about that.
Oh, shout out, John.
Two Tits, just that one, that just flows.
I do have two.
Tyler Glasnow coming off so he spent 2 months of the season recovering from the oblique injury. He comes back in a 6-5 loss at home to the Dodgers, and he looks okay. 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, 1 homer, and 8 Ks in those 4 1/3. Garrett Whitlock, this is he's coming off his first major league start since being placed on the 15-day IL on April 28th with right elbow ulnar neuritis, something that I have no idea, but I'm sure Daby Cab knows. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 homer, 4 Ks, no walks in a 2-1 win at Arizona. So we have 2 pitchers who have just come back from IL stints. This will be their second starts off the IL. Rays are hitting 245, 746 versus righties. Red Sox 266, 749. Rays bullpen has been bad. Those numbers are, escalated because of the 20-run game against the Jays, but we're talking now over a month of sample size. Red Sox bullpen 4.05 ERA. Domingo Ricci says Whitlock giving up 5 home runs in 20 innings. Rocco Rogers on the over 9 and Glasnow over 5.5 Ks. Joe Yerkerman says Glasnow can now be dominant. Take it away here. We know that our Daby Cab has already moved on it, and we want to talk more about it, but let's start with Jose, his Red Sox in play. Take it away.
Yeah, I bet the first 500 yesterday. That cashed. That felt great. It was a scary spot, especially with the market and everything, but it was fairly easy. And honestly, I feel like I'm just going to go right back to it here. First 5 under 5 here, minus 120. Glasnow, one of my favorite pitchers to watch in baseball. Again, people in the chat know, dominates the Red Sox. Garrett Whitlock is... I don't know. It's very interesting because we obviously, and if you're a Red Sox fan, you know this. Everyone wants him to be a bullpen piece. Everyone wants him to be a reliever, but they signed him to this deal, so they're trying to push him to be a starter. He wants to be a starter. He was a starter with the Yankees, but his velocity drops down when he's not a starter or when he's not a reliever. Shit just doesn't work as well. But he came back, pitched well last time against Arizona, a Diamondbacks team that I'm a little worried that they've been struggling these last 2 weeks hitting wise, and maybe Whitlock took advantage of that. But I ultimately do lean first 5 under here. I think he can keep pitching well here, elbow neuritis and all.
Are you making a move on the game?
I am, yeah. First 5 under 5. I've got it at minus 120.
Wow. So you are going heads up with Daby Cab. So
which means we could bet against each other, Jimmy, but Jose would have to actually fucking pay his debts if I was going to do something like that, because he's owed me a steak for 5 months.
And he's come over to your house.
Twice.
Wow. Soon to be 3 times.
Wow.
And I think both times I ended up buying him dinner.
First 5 under 4.5. You got minus 115, you said, Jose?
I got minus 120, but I didn't tweet it out, so we can line shop if we'd.
I will line shop. Tell us why you are on the other side, Cab.
All right, I got you. Both of these pitchers, I know that Glasnow did good his first start, but coming off the IL, I don't expect him to keep cruising here. This Boston team is struggling. Looking into the side here, they've had 7 losses in 9 games. Just not good. Their bullpen is going to get tested also, and I think that the Rays' whole plate approach is going to be to get to the Red Sox bullpen. And when a team's up there with that approach, I like runs early. I think the Rays are going to be taking pitches. I think they're going to be disciplined at the plate. I think we're going to see a lot of base runners in this game. And I think that's going to play towards the plate approach is really the main reason why I'm going to be on this first 5 over, is because I think the Rays are going to be very disciplined trying to get to the Red Sox bullpen.
The good thing that you have not, I hope you haven't bet this either, because you can get a minus the first 5 under 5 now. It's Cab that beat the market. Excuse me. God.
Hey, did you catch Jose trying to ignore me when he like a kid? Like when he came up here, I said something to him and he just didn't respond at all.
He's locked in. He's laser focused.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Jose Two Tits Bouquet. I mean, that's what you get from Two Tits. First 5 under 5, Jose at minus 116. Tony Based is on the Rays money line. I think there's just too many question marks around this game. What is your expectation from Glasnow here, Daby Cab? Or who do you think of these two gets touched the most? Because there is thunderstorms and rain coming into this game.
This is one of those parks where I made that, half joke comment about you just have to hit a pop to left. The way this park plays, the reason why the home runs are down but the other percentages are up is because of how this park plays. So it doesn't really worry me about it. And you look at Whitlock on the other side, this isn't even his first start against the Rays this year. Earlier this year, it was his first game. 5 innings. He gave up 8 hits, 5 runs. All 5 of them were earned. He had 5 Ks. But like I said, he gave up those 8 hits and only 5 innings against the Rays here. I kind of expect more of the same. Like I said, I think they're going to be disciplined at the plate against him, and I think he's going to give it up. I don't hate our guy Jay Peasy's look on the Tampa Bay team total either.
Oh, I missed the Peasies. Yeah, Rays team total over 4.5. All right. I am off of this spot. Glasnow's first start at home. I imagine that he can be better, but now he's on the road. I don't know what either is going to give you in the second start off of, the IL. So Cab and Jose facing off. Jose, you got the first 5 under 5 at minus 116. Cab, you got the first 5 over 4.5 at minus 115, and you beat that line move. So there you go. We move on to the next game on the board. Thank you for joining us. Jose, do you have another say hey spot?
No, but I'm on the Cardinals with you. I'm on the Cardinals first 5 minus a half there.
Okay, take me off. No, I'm just kidding.
And I am also on the first 5 under there as well, Jimmy.
All right, let's move on. You're on the first 5 under in the Cards game as well. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's the spot from yesterday, Jim. We talked about it. One of the favorite spots that we mentioned, all the money on one side, and then they keep making it appealing to bet the Pirates. So yeah, I probably will end up tripling up on the game. And Daby Cab, we're echoing a bit, so you turn down your volume a little bit.
What?
We're echoing a bit, so turn down your volume just a touch.
Okay, is it better?
All right, let's get to work here. This one is going to be a lot of fun. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Toronto Blue Jays 30-27, 15-17 on the road at the New York Mets 30-27, 15-9 at home at Citi Field in Queens, New York, home of our very own Dami Gun Ricci, and just a few steps away from Big Sandy, where the Belmont Stakes will go off in 8 days. Let's start with the line history here in this one. Let me move the totals over to full game and move over here to the line history. Here we go. The New York Mets and Justin Verlander opened at minus 130, and they're now at minus 128. This is fascinating. We have Bassett going up against the team he was on last season and pitched very well. Going up against a Verlander who did not look good at Colorado and has not looked very good so far this year, but we know what he is capable of. So let's take a look at the total here in this one. And of course, we didn't get to the weather. The weather in New York, 74 Fahrenheit, 8.4 miles per hour, right to left, and very slightly out. But then it becomes fully out to left field and stays between 8.4 to 7.1 miles per hour. Ballpark PAL gives Citi Field a plus 3% home runs, but minus 10 doubles and triples, minus 8 singles, and minus 8 runs. So this is the tied for the other than Petco Park. Petco Park's the only one that with minus 9%. This is minus 8%. Ron Crawford says Mets are 41-10 after sweeping a divisional rival, now playing interleague the last 5 seasons. That is from our Ron Crawford. Bassett, last start and the last 2 starts have been bad. And his last start was ugly. 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 homers, 5 Ks, 2 walks, 9-7 loss at the Twins. Bassett, 3.80 ERA, 1.15 whip this year. On the road, he's at 5.45 ERA and a 275 opponent's batting average. 275 opponent's batting average. At home, they're hitting 127 off of him. Verlander has not looked good. We're talking about that loss at Colorado. 6 earned runs in that loss. Didn't allow a jack, but was getting hit all over the field. Blue Jays are hitting 283, 790 versus righties. Mets 240, 717. Blue Jays bullpen being okay, 3.71 ERA in May and the first day of June. Mets bullpen being bad, 4.68 ERA. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one because there's been no movement on the game. I don't know if we touched on the cash flow in the Red Sox game. I'm not sure if we did, but 80% of the tickets, 87% of the cash on Tampa, market moving towards them. 22% of the tickets and 57% of cash on the under, but all the weather issues and stuff make me want to stay off. Here we have 45% of the tickets and 81% of the cash on the Mets, and the market is not moving towards them. Wow. So before, the 55% of the tickets and the 19% of the cash made me very nervous. It made me not want to back Toronto. Now I feel a little differently with the market not moving after being available for this long. 68% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the over. 68 and 89 on the over. And we have, what was the movement? This opened up at 8.5. So there's only been a 3-cent move. And at one point, this got up to 9. But it's moved right back. Take it away for us here, Daby. Fascinating game. Blue Jays, Mets.
You touched on.
I gotta get some water.
Do what? Yeah, I got you. Jimmy touched on it. Against Colorado, Verlander didn't look good. They're definitely going to need a better performance here because the Blue Jays have been hot. They've won 3 of their last 5 games, 2 of their last 3 road games. They played well offensively in that span, scoring 16 runs in their last 4 road games. I expect them to play well here too. They've hit the ball well against right-handers, and Verlander's been struggling, like we touched on. He's given up 13 runs in his last 3 starts. He gave up 3 runs in his home start against the Blue Jays here. I think they were all in the first inning. You got to fact check me on that because he did kind of cruise after that. But still, he gave up 3 runs, and I think he's going to have a hard time slowing him down here. Mets have lost 4 of their last 7 games. They are playing okay offensively, though. The Mets have put up 19 runs in their last 3 games. But I think they'll struggle offensively against Bassett here because he's done a good job on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's given up 9 earned runs in his last starts. He gave up 11 earned runs in his last 5 road starts. And I think he can keep the Mets offense in check here, especially with Jimmy talking about the cash on this game. I would only go Blue Jays. My thing is not usually betting against people like Verlander or on teams like the A's. So I'm off this game just for that, even though Verlander's been struggling. But if I was going to bet this game, it would be on the Blue Jays, and I would just take them on the money line.
This is a rare time you're actually fading one of your old men.
Yeah, it is a very rare time, but I'm not actually getting to the window with it. So
fair enough.
Those old men are dominant, Jose. It's that old men strength. Or HGH.
Yeah, you would know something about the old men's strength and the HGH too. You're right. I
never took any HGH. You thought I did, though. Jose and I, for everyone who doesn't know, Jose and I played catch the other day for 5 throws, and he quit.
Yeah, you throw hard. I don't want to do that. Fuck that. I don't want to put myself in harm's way with you. No chance. No thanks. Welcome back, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Well, nice.
What was your move, Cab? Sorry, I was coughing up a lung there.
Yeah, I hope you're feeling better, Jimmy. That didn't look like it felt too good. I tell you, I lean towards the Jays here. I really do, but I'm going to stay off this just because I don't like going against people like Verlander.
This would be the time to go up against him, though.
It would, absolutely.
Bassett going up against his former team. I think that this is I just don't know if I have the balls. I think that I just might, though. What is Domi doing? JPZ says thinking about going heads up with Domi. Is Mets 8 consecutive wins, 16-0 when starter goes 6 full. Rare time he really likes the Mets tonight. Well, there's a lot of money that's being bet on this Mets team. And the market showing just no indication at all of concern. I wish it was less than 50% of tickets on the Jays. Joe Yurkovich liking the under says, can't one of these pitchers shine in this spot? I don't see why both wouldn't be able to shine here. But I'm not going to get in the way of this moving towards the over. I want the Jays here. I want the Jays, and I want to believe that Bassett is going to pitch a beautiful game here, and if Bassett does pitch a beautiful game, Joe Yurkovich says Jays offense tax. I still think you don't think there's a New York Mets tax. I mean, certainly not as much as the Yankees or the Astros, but. Dommy Gunn says that Rocky start was against the best OPS team versus righties. I throw out Verlander's in that spot. How far do you think the Blue Jays are behind the Rockies? Let's go over that right now because they're not. The Rockies are hitting 287, 803 OPS versus righties since May 1st, and the Jays are hitting 283, 790 OPS versus righties.
That's insane. The numbers are so high this year for offenses for certain teams.
You should see the way teams are hitting lefties right now. I mean, they're hitting righties worse than lefties.
The fact that we're seeing like 297s and 300 team batting averages is just mind-blowing.
Joe Yurkovich is on the under 8.5 locked in. Dommy Gunn says my cap is against Bassett. And those are Razor Sharp's horse picks of the day. Shout out to our guy, Razor Sharp Picks. Well, I'm going to need a little bit more time. And if I have a whole bunch of action, which I don't, then maybe I let this go. But I just don't see how I can let this go. I'll certainly have to bet it at Bet Online, I imagine, not Bet365, because there's so much Canadian money in this, in Bet365, plus 115 here. All right. Viper liking the under as well. I am planning on moving on the Toronto Blue Jays. My expectation is that I move on them. And I'd also be a situation where I think that it's hard for me not to think that Verlander's not vulnerable. I mean, he just doesn't have it going on right now. He had the offseason cut short. I mean, obviously one bad start does not a season make, but let's just go over his last few starts here for Verlander in his new home. He looked spectacular at home versus the Tribe and got lit up by the Rays. I mean, he looks like he's been going good start, bad start. You know, I don't know if I need to do this. Maybe I can just let this go. Dommy Gun says he might just decide to go last minute.
To the game?
Yeah, I would.
Nice.
What a matchup this is. All right, I'm going to need more time, but I'm certainly leaning towards the Toronto Blue Jays. There's our guy, Community of New Knowledge in the house. Real Deal Prime says now is the time. Jays at plus money, and a bunch of cappers have locked in the under. If I was going to hammer the under, I would want first five. I don't trust either bullpen, and the Jays bullpen has been quite a bit better than the Mets bullpen of late. Let's move on. 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Mariners 29-27, 12-12 on the road at the Texas Rangers 35-20, 16-8 at home at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. So Globe Life has come out, and I was trying to get information. This stupid ballpark has been such a problem for me figuring out whether the roof was on or off. But I finally figured it out. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. So if it's over 80 or under 65, the roof is closed. So it's over 80 today.
Right.
So the roof will be closed. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure out that shit, but it's done now. Also, if the winds are above 20. So this opened up with the Mariners at minus 114. They're now at minus 109. Very slight move to the Texas Rangers. Let's move over to the total in this spot. Opened up at 8.5, and it moved to 8. It moved to 8 at 8:30 this morning. So we have a half-run move to the under and no move on the money line. 27% of the tickets and 67% of the cash are on the Mariners. You know, that's surprised me a little bit. Then you have 71% of the tickets, 86% of cash on the under. And that has moved to 8 from 8.5. Now, the bullpen from the Rangers has been poor since May 1st. Troy Torrance says Castillo struggles on the road and versus this lineup. Yeah, he's only of 63 and 2/3 innings Castillo's pitched, only 16 have been on the road. But there's some clear big bets on him. But I don't know how you could do that with him looking. Now, I do think that the sample size is too small for us to say, oh, he's not very good on the road or anything like that. Razor says Texas at home with a 5-1 pitcher, and the line is only minus 110. So Luis Castillo going up against John Gray, the Gray Wolf, who's been excellent at home. 4-0, 2.02 ERA, 182 opponent's batting average. His last start at Baltimore, and we know what the Sticks can do over in Charm City. 7 innings, 4 hits, a 1 earned run, solo shot, 8 Ks, 1 walk. Mariners are still not hitting a 235, 706 OPS. What up, Eric? Good to see you, man. Rangers 269, 761 OPS, and the Mariners bullpen much stronger than the Rangers bullpen at this point over the last 5 weeks. Take it away here for us, Daby Cab. 2 very fascinating pitchers on the mound, Mariners, Rangers.
This is a series I can't wait to bet. This isn't really the one I'm looking forward to betting, though. The rest of the series I am. I'll talk about the pitchers for a second. Castillo It's his 12th start here. He comes in 4-2 with the 2.69 ERA, a .99 WHIP. That's great. Anytime you see somebody with the WHIP under 1, that's amazing. He's got 15 walks to 76 strikeouts and over 63 2/3 innings this season. His last start was against the Pirates on Saturday. He had 6 scoreless innings, only 1 hit, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts in that game. Mariners won 5-0. In his last 3 starts, because you'll hear me always talk about last 3 starts with pitchers. I like to look at their whole body of work and then their last 3 starts. In his last 3 starts, he's 2-1 with a 2.65 ERA and a 1 WHIP, 6 walks, 24 strikeouts. So his numbers have been pretty consistent there. Gray is who's shocked me, and I'm sure anybody else who's paid attention. This is his 11th start of the season here. He comes in 5-1 with a 2.81 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP, 19 walks to 46 strikeouts, over 57 in 2/3 innings for the season. And his last start was Friday on the road against the Orioles. You touched on that. Now, the Orioles didn't seem to really be able to hit the ball much at all that series, but still, he did a great job. This is just a tough game. He's 3-0 with a .9 ERA and a .85 WHIPs, 5 walks, 19 strikeouts, over 20 innings of work in his last 3 starts. So his last 3 starts, he's been even better. He's just been electric. And the Rangers, even with Seager out, they were playing great. I'm off this game, Jimmy. I think it's a very interesting game. I cannot wait to watch it. I probably lean Mariners just because I'm a Castillo guy. I've always really liked Castillo. And I don't want that bias to be why I bet. So I'm off this game.
The initial move was towards the Mariners. It's come back. The big bets have come in on the Mariners.
I've been making money on the Rangers, which is not something I expected, whether it's been taking certain pitchers of theirs that I've been backing in the first 5 or the first 5 over, especially at home. Pay attention to the Rangers' first 5 overs. It's hitting at a ridiculous rate. But like I said, this just isn't the game for me.
Yeah, I understand that the Rangers touched him up a bit. He had 9 Ks in that start at 5 innings, but I don't think that we can just say that Castillo is a bad road pitcher. I mean, 16 innings is just not the sample size. Oh, and Gambler's first glance is in. Jeez, thank God I came back and I must have been coughing up a lung there. Gambler's first glance is in. Blue Jays money line. Ooh-wee, that's exciting. Blue Jays money line. We'll go over that. That does add to my confidence in that spot. Well, I guess when it comes down to it, I'm going to have to stay off of this spot. My initial thought immediately was the Rangers.
Sure. And
the more I started sitting with it, the more this is a huge game for the Mariners. And I know what Castillo does in huge games.
He's the man.
Yeah.
Flat out. And he's their ace with especially with Robbie Ray down for the year. Like he's the one that's got to be their ace. He already was in my opinion, but he's really got to be the ace now.
LJ from H-Town in the house says Simeon 37 hits in his last 27 games. All right. Mariners, Rangers, I guess, is going to have to be a stay-off spot, sadly. But, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. This also the move, to the under makes sense to me. I would expect both these pitchers to look good here in a huge game. I would expect them both to look good. Let's just look at what's happened on this first 5 quickly here. God, I've been pushing these first 5 under 4s. It's been very bothersome, but I don't even know if this was ever at 4.5. Yes, it was. This opened up at 4.5 and was there for an hour and 10 minutes. Now it's a 4. God, I bet you it will be. All right, I'm interested in the first 5 under. What would keep you off that first 5 under 4? Okay.
This answer isn't really supported by logic. I've been hitting that Rangers first 5 over so much that it's almost like just biased in me. But I wouldn't bet the first 5 over here, which tells me that the first 5 under is a good bet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Coin though saying Texas is 17-6 to the over first 5 at home.
I'm telling you, I've been hitting that shit all year, Jimmy.
Dommy Gun Ricci says Texas raking would keep me off of it. I mean, I know that we can focus too much on weather and focus too much on righties, lefties, but Dommy Gun, we see Texas raking. The Blue Jays are hitting righties harder than the Rangers, and you still have a lot of confidence in Verlander. I don't know why I wouldn't still have confidence in Castillo. LJ from H-Town says Rangers came off a 9-game road trip. Logic says fade the Rangers back at home. And Joe Yurkovich not doing it. Rangers first 5 team total over 1.5.
I saw his logic on that. He said that Castillo hasn't given up a run in 2 starts. I get it. Like, it's very, very rare for a pitcher to go 3 starts without giving up a couple runs.
It's so funny you mentioned that because it's ingrained in me that if a pitcher's had 2 straight scoreless starts, that he gets touched in that 3rd start. I don't have numbers to back it up. It's just like a vividness thing.
It's real. Let me tell you, your thought on that is right. Like, as a pitcher, like, I just know. I had this was in high school, but I threw a perfect game. It was the only one I threw, and then I threw a no-hitter the next game, which would have been a perfect game if my second baseman didn't fucking overthrow the first baseman on a routine ground ball. But I had back-to-back no-hitters, and then my next game, I gave up 4 in the first inning.
Razor says everyone expecting low scoring. This is where the Yurfie hits. No, that's wonderful having your insight with these pitchers. All right, I'm off. I'm off. Mariners, Rangers off. Okay. By the way, we got Dommy Guns action in. Rangers on the money line, Mets money line, Tampa first 5, Twins full game, and he's leaning towards the Yankees. Okay, let's move on. 8:10 p.m. Eastern, Los Angeles Angels 30-28, 15-15 on the road at the Houston Astros 33-23, 16-13 at home. We're at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Shohei Ohtani versus Framber Valdez. Valdez was held back to make sure that they had a weapon against Shohei. And Morgan Spooner says Rangers first 5 money line locked on the card. It's interesting. Not one person we saw with Mariners first 5, and it's so wild to me with the Castillo in an important game that he wouldn't be backed. But let's talk about this Astros Angels spot next. First off, we'll talk the money line. This opened up with Framber at -127, and that's exactly where we stand. The initial look, though, was towards the Angels. The Angels went from +117 to +109 right away. But we have no movement on the side. And let's take a look at the total here. We'll go to full game. Full game total here. Sorry, I had to move off of first 5. So let's go over here and see what we are dealing with. Valdez, Ohtani. This opened up at 7.5, and we saw 8s. There was an 8 after 12 minutes that this line came out at Pinnacle. So opened up at 7.5 at a pick'em. Wasn't juiced. And it was 8 within 12 minutes. That 8 lasted for 1 minute before it's back 7.5. And then 13 minutes later, back to 8. And it stayed at 8 until 6:30 this morning. And even when it went back to 7.5, right back to 8. Now it's been at 7.5 since then. That tells me that there's going to be offense here in this game. It tells me that because anybody would look at these two pitchers, Shohei Ohtani, 5-1, 2.91 ERA, 0.95 WHIP, 90K, 65 innings, all the vividness and recency we have. You'd be all over him shutting down any opponent. He just shut down the Marlins. Now, he hasn't been as strong on the road, you could say, but opponents are hitting 156 off of him on the road. So, yeah, he's got a 3.81 ERA, but 2-0, opponents hitting 156 off him. Framber Valdez coming off back-to-back starts against Oakland. He looked very good in them, but it's Oakland. And he's been very good at home. 2.45 ERA, 253 opponents batting average, 46K, 7 walks. The Angels are raking against lefties, 277, 791 OPS. And the Astros aren't hitting why do I have Astros versus righties? That's my mistake. Oh, because Shohei. God, what am I doing? Astros are hitting 245, 711 OPS versus righties. The Astros bullpen's been quite a bit stronger than the Angels bullpen since May 1st. Tone Miggins, Astros money line -127, 2 units. Play of the day. Wow. That is absolutely wild. I like it. Tone. I like what you were doing here. Tone Miggins' play of the day is Houston in this spot. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 67% of the tickets and 75% of the cash on the Angels. Line's not moving towards them. We have 58% of the tickets and 52% of the cash on the under. We've seen those bets on the over, move the market. Wine Time says Framber absolutely dominates this Angels lineup. There is from LA Angels backer, a guy who goes and watches their games. Daby Cab, take it away. I can't wait to hear your breakdown on these two spectacular pitchers. Ohtani, Valdez, Angels, Astros.
Let me get back to the game. I'm trying to read Razor's bullshit in the chat. Man, look, anybody who's paid attention to how I cap knows where I'm probably leaning here. I've been backing Ohtani. I'm probably up like not even a full unit because I'm now 4-3 when I backed him this year. And these two teams met in Anaheim. Astros taking 2 or 3 from the Angels. Both of the pitchers that are going tonight, they both pitched in that series. They had similar numbers to each other. Each of them went 6 innings. Ohtani took the loss in the outing. Javier picked up the win, obviously. You just look at what the Angels have done. They've won Ohtani's first 6 starts of the season, but the last 4, they've just gone 2-2. His pitch count's going to be important. You're going to see that when I talk about teams' approach, the Astros have to have an approach here. They're going to try and work the count. They're going to try and get Ohtani deep in his arsenal. And Javier, over his last 5 starts, he's 4-1, and is 4-1 against the Angels here with an ERA of 2.65. I really wanted to take the Angels here, Jimmy. I have not made a bet on this game. I've completely stayed away from it. I might get there with the Angels.
Wow. I think someone's telling us that these Astros are...
I've seen a lot of people on the Astros, too. I feel like the main bet that I've seen today, I feel like, is on the Astros. And I'm not talking public. I'm talking about our good cappers.
Mike M does like the Angels today. Wow. LJ saying Angels 13-6 on the run line is a road dog. Vitalis is also looking at Astros' first 5 numbers at home might sway you to the Angels. Wow, this is a fascinating spot.
I lost his last 2, Vitalis, actually.
Wow. Makes me think that the over is live. Very live. Makes me think, and wow.
So I know what has the market told us here? Has it moved really at all?
Not at all, and it has not moved at all, and that's with 76% of the cash on the Angels.
All right, I'm not on this game. That's enough for me right there.
Joe Yerger says Astros only 2-5 in Valdez home starts. Larry Gar says Angels left a lot of runners on last night. Think they bat them in today. Troy Torrance says if this market moves towards Houston, I'll be on them heavy. Well, you might be ahead of the market here. You got Tone Miggins on it. He's also on Altuve over 1.5 bases. Feels like a playoff game. Johnny K looking at a Trout homer. Wow.
Who do you think this is a more important game for if it feels like a playoff game? Because to me, that says the Angels. Because the Astros, they know who they are. They know what they've done in this division. They're kind of starting to roll again. Angels also know who they are, and this is about the time of the season that they start to fall off.
Yeah, I mean, but we've gone through 58 games, and Trout and Ohtani have stayed healthy.
Shocker,
and they're still 500.
True. The Angels, we didn't touch on lineups. I want to say Renfroe's out still. Is Jury out also?
Well, let's see the expected here. And Piker says this is as public a dog as you'll find. Wow, he's right. They have Renfroe listed.
Good to go?
They have him listed in RotoWire. I don't know if...
Okay.
I would have to double check that. Wow. And one time saying Renfroe is a go. Wow. I think you guys are right. I think this is a public dog, and this line is not moving. I think that you have to Well, not have to. I don't mean anything like that, but I think it's that the Houston Astros are the bet. Wow. The Houston Astros are the bet. Now, the line did move slightly to them at 10:59 a.m. There was a 7-cent move to the Astros. They were minus 130. Oh God, what would I have to take them at here if I wanted the Astros minus 130? Could turn them into a -1. I don't think this is a spot you want to do it. FTX Moolah looking at a nerfy spot. Same with Sharon. All right, I have a very real lean towards the Astros. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull it out, but AOD saying this chat is on fire, and he's right. Mike M says this is where book variance makes a difference. I see a move to the Angels. Open at plus 125, now plus 112. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I use Pinnacle, so. But you're right. The books that opened it up, after Pinnacle gave the lead, would have seen an immediate move that Pinnacle was giving towards the Angels. But that stopped. I think so, Tone. LJ says first 5 is going under. Nutflush says Angels offense is not good after showing Trout who is producing, and Trout is no young buck. Says he's watched them live for 3 weeks and he's way behind fastballs. All right, I'm very interested in the Astros. Okay, let's move on. We move on to 8:10 p.m. Eastern. Cleveland Guardians 25-31, 13-16 on the road at the Minnesota Twins, 30-27, 17-12 at home. We're at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I already told everybody that I have moved on the Guardians to win the division at plus 380. Let's take a look at the weather here in Minnesota. 76 Fahrenheit, 5 miles in, and then it becomes right to left. Over at Ballpark Pal, what do they have this stadium at? They have a minus 5% home run rate and plus 2% runs. So a regular game here. Bailey Ober, against Aaron Savali. Ober, take a look at this line history here. Opened up with the Twins at minus 130. They're now minus 127. Very slight move towards 3-cent move towards the Tribe. Take a look at the total in this one. This one opened up at 8.5 and has dropped to 8. It's fair if you think that is a lineup related, because the first time this didn't come out till 5:30 p.m. Didn't move till 9:43 a.m. Once it did, it took 2 minutes to get back to the over 8.5. This is a Twins team with Correa with plantar fasciitis in his left heel. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. Buxton took the pitch in the ribs, but his knees are a problem. Max Kepler has migraines. He's just not the same. He's just not the same player that we remember him to be. And then you have a huge question mark with Savali. He's been out since early April with a left oblique strain. So he looked very good in 2 starts, had the oblique strain, and then he looked okay in 3 rehab outings, I guess. 11 innings, 4.91 ERA, 1.55 whip, 16 Ks, 4 walks. Bailey Ober coming off a 3-0 loss at home versus the Jays. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks, 1 walk. The Guardians are hitting just 229, 616 OPS versus righties since May 1st. Twins 225, 720. Guardians bullpen's been very good, and so has the Twins for that matter. Did we take a look at I don't think we looked at the cash, so let's bring up the cash here for this Twinkies spot. We have 74% of the tickets on the Twins and just 39% of the cash. I don't know if that's cappers like me looking at this Twins lineup without these big bats in it. Possibly, but it's a weak lineup. But then we have to trust Savali off of the IL, which is a dangerous thing to do. 68% of the tickets and 98% of cash on the under. It's a ton of money on the under. Morgan Spooner says second home start for Ober. Under looks very live. Even Flaherty could pitch against this lineup. That they gave Naylor the day off, right? He's got to be expected. Let me make sure that he's expected in the lineup. He is batting cleanup. He's a big piece to this puzzle. And you have 98% of the cash on the under. I want the Tribe here. I know that the Twins broke the Guardians' heart last night. I do not expect that to continue. And we see that in all sports. You get these injuries, the players step up for that game. Can they step up the next game? Take it away for us here, Cab. Guardians, Twins.
Yeah, Cleveland, they've been dominant here. 11-2 last 13 meetings between these franchises. 5-1 last 6 games in Minnesota, which is outstanding. Sure, that's fresh on the Twins' mind, I would hope. I agree with everything that you've said. I just want to throw that out there. Everything about the Twins. I haven't been high on the Twins even before the injuries. I wasn't very high on them. And now you throw those injuries into the mix, I'm out on this Twins team. Savali's coming in. He had the lengthy stint on the IL. He struggled against Minnesota in the past, which is one reason that I'll stay off of this probably. 1-4 record with a 4.2 ERA in his 8 career appearances. The question is he going to be able to give them any length here in this? I stay away from pitchers, not only on their first start off the IL, but like anytime that it's been a lengthy stint, I stay away for a little bit until they really hit in their groove. And that's the only reason I'm staying off the Guardians here, because otherwise I'd bet the Guardians in this spot, Jimmy.
Well, I'm going to bet the Guardians in this spot.
That's where I'm at. But like I said, I just, it's just certain principles like that I've found that I tell myself I'm going to stick to, and anytime I bend them with my capping, it seems to bite me in the ass. And I'm like, well, that's why you told yourself not to do it. So it's like, I just got to stick to them.
I don't like Savali's 11 innings in rehab, but he did strike out 16 in 11. He was just trying to get right. And Ron Crawford liking the under. Mike M giving us a great line, with 11-0 to the under and Bailey over his last 11 starts. There's the Fowlish Hound in the house. Great to see you, Fowlish Hound, one of the stars of our daily sesh that stars Cab and Dutchie. Great to see you, Fowlish Hound. Thank you for rolling up with us. I'm moving on to Guardians. I'm going to move on to full game. I expect Buxton not to be in the lineup. I know Correa is not going to be in the lineup. Well, that's enough for me. I expect when this lineup comes out, there's going to be a big move. I bet you we don't get plus 115 anymore. I think it could be a pick 'em. I think there could be a 25-cent move. So,
how do you feel about the under?
I get the under. 11 straight and over starts. I think that one of the things, every time this has gone to 8, I guess not every time, but this wasn't a fluid move to 8. It didn't move to 8 till 9:43 this morning, and 2 minutes later is hit up to 8.5. If that means one of these pitchers is vulnerable, I mean, it's pretty easy to say that, it's Savali. But also, how deep does Ober go in these games? I mean, let's just take a quick look at how deep Ober is being able to go. Now, the Twins' bullpen has been good, but both bullpens have been heavily used, and the Guardians' bullpen is very, very good.
You're right on looking at how deep he's been able to go. Look, I know 5 innings is a good start, and that's kind of like what you shoot for as a starting pitcher to get through 5. But he's only gotten through 6, or he's only gotten through 6 innings twice this year. It's pretty much 5 innings every time out. 5 innings against Toronto, 5 innings against San Francisco, 5 2/3 against KC, 5 2/3 against Washington. And then I guess I was wrong on that. On LA, San Diego, and Cleveland. Against Cleveland here, I've got him last start, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, no runs. But, Cleveland wasn't hitting. That was May 5th. Cleveland couldn't hit a fucking watermelon May 5th. It's not the same thing right now.
Yeah, I feel you. And Joe, I like Ober too. But the Twins stepped up as a team. 3 runs in the 9th inning to tie it up at 6, win it in extras. After watching Buxton take a pitch to the ribs, after watching Correa leave the game, Max Kepler dealing with his migraines. I apologize for my son crying right now.
We can't hear it.
Sorry. My lock's also broken. The kids have broken the lock that I had on the door. But saying all that, I expect the Guardians. Look, you want your X's and O's to correlate with the cash flow, and that's happening here. I expect the Guardians to be in a very angry group today for letting that 6-3. And I don't like talking. It doesn't help me talking about what happened yesterday, but everything lines up. All I need is Savali to pitch okay, and these Guardians need to win today. They're 25-31. They won the division last year, and the Twins ripped their beating heart out without their stars. I don't expect them to do it again, and I'm going to bet that they don't. I'm going to leave the total alone. I'm just going to bet the money line, dog here. Okay, Robert Franklin with me. So we have a couple things. In case you missed it, Razor Sharp picks on his last day of work. Going to be a full-time capper now. That's what hard work gets you.
Hey, we're getting wasted tonight, Razor. We're going to win some money, but I'm going to have a bottle with you for our live show tonight. This is going to be our last official live show together, but I'll be with Razor live all the time because I know we got big things coming, and Razor's actually got something around the corner me and him have been talking about, so it might be the last official live show, but we'll be together plenty. But tonight's going to be a blast, so make sure everybody tunes in.
And you should jump on in 8 days for our Belmont. Give us a couple baseball picks after your show on Saturday morning. Oh, if you do a show Saturday morning with Jose, but you should jump on with us there as well. But shout out to our Razor Sharp picks. Last day at work today, full-time capper after today, and he deserves it. And Gambler's First Glance is in, and I'm rolling with him. I was on the fence, but him moving on it is enough for me. The Toronto Blue Jays, Gambler's First Glance. Which leads us in. Okay, hi, sweetheart. Please close the door. Come on, Ella. I'm working. Ellie, say hi quickly, but please go. Okay, say hi.
Hi, good luck.
Oh,
thank you.
Bye.
Okay, sweetheart.
Hey, cutie.
How to get that lock going? Can you please close the door, my love?
Don't forget, try to win.
Oh, don't forget, try to win. Okay, thank you. It's very funny. Don't forget, try to win. Okay, we go from Razor Sharp picks, Gambler's First Glance, to our guy, Ron Crawford's spreadsheet play of the day. Spreadsheet play of the day from Ron Crawford. Okay, sure. There we go. There you go. Okay, please close the door. I love you, sweetheart. The spreadsheet play. Okay, thank you. And giving me a chip. Spreadsheet play of the day is in, and it is the Colorado Rockies at plus 105 from our Ron Crawford. All right. Yeah, it's a professional day here, and the lock is being broken by my kids. Rockies, Royals, Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Chase Anderson versus the most losing pitcher in Major League Baseball, Jordan Lyles. First, let's take a look at the weather here at Kauffman. We have 74 Fahrenheit, 8.2 miles per hour in. Then it becomes sideways and then back to in. If you look here, there's a minus 16% home run rate, but a plus 1% run rate because it's getting warmer here. So we also have Larry Garr's play of the day. Larry Garr gave us Rockies Royals over 9. Chase Anderson against Jordan Lyles. Let's take a second here to look at the line history on the total. And, we've seen this quite a bit. And anytime Jordan Lyles has a good start, I want to fade him immediately. But he's become a punching bag of sorts, and that makes me want to back him. I love bum fights, and for whatever reason, I find value when the public starts shitting on a pitcher. There has been an 11-cent move to the Kansas City Royals for starters on an 0-9 pitcher. Also, this opened up at 9. It's moved to 9.5 in a couple moments, and then it's always come back to 9. It's back at 9 right now. At this point, there's been no movement on the total. We'll take a look at where the cash is, but I imagine that this has been hammered to the. I bet there's a lot of cash on the over, and I could be wrong, but let's check this out. Here we go. On the cash side of things, we have 25% of the tickets and 56% of the cash on the Kansas City Royals. Then we have 66% of tickets on the over, but just 58% of cash. We know that Chase Anderson is capable of pitching well. He's only thrown 20 2/3 this year, but he's been lights out, 1.3 3.31 ERA, 0.97 whip. We know this is a pitcher's ballpark. We have Jordan Lyles, who's coming off that 12-10 loss at home versus the Nationals. That was the Corbin Lyles start. 5 earned runs in 5 innings. He actually looked good through 3 and then got lit up and smoked. 5.68 ERA, 235 opponent's batting average at home through 38 innings. Also, we have seen Jordan Lyles throw a complete game against the Chicago White Sox at home. 9 innings. Even in that, he allowed 4 runs, 2 homers. The Rockies are smashing righties. 287, 803 OPS. Royals versus righties, 240, 738 OPS. Both bullpens have been mediocre, but the Royals bullpen, as I've been telling you all year, is better than the numbers indicate. 4.19 ERA through May and June. Take it away for us, Daby Cab. Rockies, Royals.
I mean, anybody backing Lyles has bigger balls than me. I can tell you that right now. I want to say he's like, well, you can see he's 0-9 on the season. I want to go further than that. Royals have lost 5 of their last 6 games and 4 of their last 6 home games. They're playing a little bit better offensively, even with the slump. They put up 13 runs in their last 4 games. But I don't expect them to score a lot of runs in this game. I mean, they've struggled against right-handers. Anderson has looked good on the mound since he was traded to Colorado too. He's given up only 3 runs in his last 3 starts, which is great. He hasn't given up a run on the road this season yet. And I keep Kansas City in check. The Rockies, though, they have struggled also in recent games. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games. And even though they've struggled offensively, scoring only 9 runs in the last 4 road games, I think that they can play well offensively here because they're going against Lyles, who is a terrible right-hander. He's been terrible on the mound this season. His numbers back up what I'm saying. I didn't need to see his numbers to know he was terrible. Even at home, he's given up 17 runs in his last 3 starts. He gave up 12 runs in his last 3 starts against the Rockies here. And Kansas City has the 3rd worst bullpen in the league. So once you get behind him, it's not getting any better. They're going to have a hard time slowing down even a putrid Rockies offensive team here. I'd go Rockies money line or just stay away.
There's clear, sharp money on an under. I felt that there was some sharp money on the Corbin Lyles start on the under. There was a bunch of people on the over, and 22 runs were scored in that game. 0 were scored through 3, and then things fell apart. Troy Torrance is on the road right now, so I can't double check, but I believe this is a big Royals spot based on line open move and cash flow. I know what I'm going to do. My only fear in what I want to do is if Chase Anderson does get touched by the Royals here off the top. But the first 3 under 2.5 at plus 120 is appealing to me. I don't want to sit here and take a stand on something and not have a plus money beside it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first 3 under 2.5 at plus 120. That's expecting Lyles to look good for a little bit, and I know this is an 0-9 pitcher. That is expecting Chase to look good for a little bit, and he has been, pitching well. This is another spot here where they're not offering you a first 5 anything, alternate lines. They are offering you the money line, but that's wild that they're not doing that. Bankroll Spence is an interesting stat. Royals give up the most runs in the league in the 6th inning. So
what? Seriously? Give up. I thought he said score. I was like, there's no way.
Oh, give up. Yeah. I want that plus. I want to take a stand here. Let me just go over this one more time before I can have enough confidence that this is a move I want to make. Clearly, this is a spot where you see an 0-9 pitcher and everybody wants to fade it. Why would the lot market be moving towards the Royals? That tells me that Lyles pitches well off the hop. So I don't think I can't take the Royals first 3. That's minus 130. I'm not gonna sit here and back an 0-9 pitcher and not get plus money beside it.
Right.
So now we're all gonna watch these games tonight. If the Rockies allow like if Chase Anderson allows 3 runs to the Royals in the first 2 innings, I'm going to lose it. I need him to be good, and I need Lyles just to be better than he's been. John Gilly says Razor Sharp picks retirement party tonight. Okay, I'm moving on the first 3 under 2.5 at plus 120. And I'm excited. I like it. Spreadsheet play today is on Colorado. Larry Garr play today is on the over 9. I'm going to be on the first 3 under 2.5 at plus 120. Let's move on. This is when it really helps having a ex-professional pitcher on the show. We have Reese Olson making his major league debut here. He's, depending on what publication you look at, either the 9th ranked prospect in the Tigers organization or the 11th ranked prospect in the Tigers organization. I don't know, Troy. That's the question. And I think it means that Lyles is primed to an okay start. Joe Yeager says Royals are 0-11 in Lyles starts, and he's a favorite, and the market's moving towards him. This is wild shit. So I believe that Clevenger is coming off the IL. The reason why, it's just because it hasn't been announced yet. They have to make it official, and they haven't announced it. Clevenger is listed at the book. So it's going to be Reese Olson against Clevenger. So Clevenger has been on the IL with a wrist injury. He pitched a simulated game on Monday. He hasn't even pitched, he didn't have any rehab starts, just a simulated game. The question is what our expectations are about Reese Olson. Reese Olson was not a very highly thought of prospect when he was drafted, but he was drafted out of high school in the 13th round out of Gainesville, Georgia. Played in all the Gainesville, Georgia elite leagues. He has worked his way up to this opportunity. At AAA Toledo this year, he's being touched. It's always been his ability to strike batters out. That's what's giving him this opportunity. He has 47 Ks and 36 2/3, although he has a 6.38 ERA and a 1.75 whip in Toledo. Real ugly numbers. In AA Erie, 4.14 ERA. This is last year. And he had 168 strikeouts in 119 innings. I mean, that's very, very impressive. He has certainly earned this opportunity. He has 4 pitches. Let's take a look at the situation he's going to be facing. First, we'll take a look at the line history. One of the things that the star of the Taint play of the day would always do is he would fade pitchers in this situation.
Absolutely.
And there is Cabby backing that up. 77 Fahrenheit in Chicago, 7.2 miles per hour left, right. But then the wind is swirling and it becomes in. Let's take a look at the line history here for this spot with Reese Olson making his MLB debut. We have, where the hell is, here we go. We have this opening up with the White Sox at minus 148. They're now minus 153, a 5-cent move towards the White Sox. And let's take a look at the total here in this spot. We have it opening up at 8.5, juiced to the over, and it got up to 9. It only lasted at 9 for 11 minutes. So it's exactly where it opened. So we have a 5-cent move to the White Sox and no move on the total. Let's take a look at the cash flow and see if it all correlates here. 57% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the White Sox. Then you have 93% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the over. Now, we only have 2,573 tickets in because the Clevenger wasn't officially brought off the IL. Now we just had to move back. So we just had move on the under. So we just moved because we're talking about a small amount of tickets. 87% of tickets, 88% cash on the over now. 94% of cash on the White Sox. The market moved up to 9.5 and immediately back down to 9. That tells me that Reese Olson is capable of pitching well here. Take it away for us, Cab. Reese Olson in his major league debut at Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago.
So there are always reasons why a pitcher is brought up for their first start, okay? And with the Tigers, it's under the worst circumstances, right? He's coming up for a not good baseball team that is desperately needing help. There's so much going into this. Like, it's not surprising that they're bringing somebody up like him to start. You know, it's different when you get somebody because of an injury, because you lose somebody and you're filling in a lineup and this person's finally they're getting an opportunity. I like that a little more. This is not a situation I like for a starter. You know, the Tigers are slumping here. And you just look at some of these numbers. The White Sox, even though I'm not a big fan of them at the plate, they are hitting 260 at home this season. 31 home runs in 28 games. Jimenez is going to be back in their lineup today, which is going to be good for their attack here against Olsen. And you know, the Tigers lineup is just poor. That's a big thing too that we've always got to take into consideration. We're capping these pitchers, but the Tigers have been piss poor at the plate lately. And they've got 2/3 of their starting outfield out tonight. So they've only got one of their starting outfielders playing. They're hitting just 224 on the road as a team. You know, they lost 2 out of 3 on the road this last week. I don't think this is a good spot for them to bounce back. I think Chicago's the team that bounced back here, especially against the rookie pitcher. Because again, the circumstances of why we're bringing somebody up is so important, and Olsen's circumstances are not good.
They are 2.5 games out of first in their division.
That's true.
So, you know, it's not like this is just a feeble baseball team. Now you can look at some of the statistics.
The division's not the best.
This is a feeble basketball. You can do that, but Mike M says, I wonder if there's a prop for the entire team to get a hit off a pitcher, because I feel like Olsen is the guy today. This game has the makings to still be playing at this time tomorrow. Over. So I don't think this is as clear as the betting public does, with everybody on the over and 94% of the cash on the White Sox. You know, but I'm not going to, like Piker saying, he couldn't make a case for the Tigers. So I expect, you know, a kid who came out of high school and 13th middling prospect to work his way up to a top prospect in the organization. I expect that they're going to fight for this kid, but this isn't really a team sport. 22 minutes away from the Pimlico race that our guy Razor gave it his action on. So we're 22 minutes away from his horse play at Pimlico. I'll pop it here back into the chat once more for you guys. This is popping off in 22 minutes. Horse play for Razor Sharp picks. I guess I stay off on this spot, but if we were just firing shots to have fun, it's and I'm sure when Jose heard that 94% of the cash is on the White Sox, he's interested now in resources. So I imagine he'll discuss this game on Say Hey Plays of the Day. Max Welly says Tim Anderson wants out. Joe Yerger says Clevenger good at home, but he's coming off the IL with a wrist injury. I mean, what's he going to give you? There's a lot of question marks here, and I'm comfortable not moving on it, so we can move past it, and we'll do that. Let's move on to the next spot on the board, 9:40 p.m. Eastern, and this is a spot where Daby Cab has already moved. Braves, Diamondbacks, Justin McElvey also stacks play today. Diamondbacks plus 108. Yeah, Joe. I know that you saw the question marks, but it is Clevenger just hasn't. The books have Clevenger written, and I know that didn't matter with Chase yesterday, so we'll see. Braves, Diamondbacks, Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. They've been changing whether this roof will be open. It looks like it's set, and then they've made changes. So let's just double check again what the roof status is here for this spot. What we have is today, Friday, June 2nd. It is open. So we have open roof. Let's take a look at the weather. See what we are dealing with at Chase. Minus 5% home run rate, plus 3% run rate. It is 91 Fahrenheit at first pitch, 7.2 miles per hour left to right. Charlie Morton, 39-year-old Charlie Morton going up against Merle Kelly in this spot. Let's take a look at the line history here for it. We have a total that's moved slightly towards the under. This opened up at 9. We have no movement on the total, but this has gone up to 9.5 a few times and back to 9, and now we have no movement. So even though it's gone up to 9.5 a few times, there was times where there's still, even at 11 this morning, there had been 4 cents of movement to the under, but no movement on the total. Then on the money line, excuse me, I apologize for all the coughing today. On the money line, we have Merle Kelly opening up at plus 110. Now he's plus 104, so a 6-cent move towards him. The first move was towards him as well. So we have 6 cents movement to the Diamondbacks and no movement on the total. Let's see how the cash flow affects this one. We have 77% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Diamondbacks. It's a lot of money on the Diamondbacks for the market not to be really moving much towards them. Then we have 25% of tickets on the over, but 75% of the cash and no move there either. So this is strange. Justin McElvey with the stacks play today, expecting Charlie Morton, the 39-year-old, to get touched. Coming off a 2-1 loss at home versus the Phillies, 5 1/3, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. He's been good this year, 3.59 ERA, 1.47 whip, but he's been getting better as the season's gone on, and he's been good on the road, 29 1/3, 3-2, 3.07 ERA, 280 opponent's batting average. Merle Kelly coming off a spectacular start at home, 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 10 Ks, 2 walks. He hasn't been great at home. He's been better on the road than he's been at home. So interesting that he's coming off a great start. 3.75 ERA, 179 opponent's batting average. Braves aren't hitting right now. 236, 722 OPS. Diamondbacks are against righties. Since May 1st, 257, 776 OPS. And the Diamondbacks bullpen. This is the first time their bullpen's been good in forever. 3.51 ERA in May and the first day of June. Cab, you have moved on the Braves team total over 4.5 at minus 122. Take it away. And why do you see Merle Kelly as being vulnerable here?
Look, I don't think that Kelly's going to do horrible here. I think I'm going to get 2 or 3 runs off of him. And then I'll get to the bullpen and I'll get 2 or 3 more off the bullpen here. He's been outstanding this year. He's 6-3 with a 2.83 ERA. At home, he's been a little bit less, still doing great, but 2-3 with a 3.75 ERA. He's got 1 start against the Braves. That was last season. He's tossed 7 innings. And it was a 1-0 loss for them. So he did great. So I get it. I understand. The reason I'm on the team total is because I honestly would probably give the edge to Kelly over Morton. There's no doubt about that. In the starting pitchup matchup, it goes to Kelly. When it comes down to bullpens, the Diamondbacks have been the hotter team also. They're posting a 2.23 ERA over their past 10 games compared to a 4.99 ERA of the Braves. So all that being said, that's why I'm on the Braves team total and not on the Braves as a side here because I wouldn't be on the side. But as a team total with the Braves, I'm getting 27 outs with them. This total's how do you say this? Suspiciously high for me for a reason. It's because somebody's going to get touched up here and we're not moving. The market's not moving with the money coming in on the Diamondbacks. So I think that they think Kelly's going to give up. This is going to be one of his first troubled starts, I think, here. I think the Braves hit this team total for me at 4.5.
82% of cash on the Diamondbacks in the market. Barely
not moving, and it's at 9.5. That all of that tells me something, and it tells me Braves team total.
And this has moved back to 9 at Pinnacle. So I know that there's probably 9.5s out there, but this has been back at for over 2.5 hours over at 9. This is a fascinating one. Bet Chris has this at 9.5. I'm surprised that the market is moving over to Merle Kelly. It's I don't want to expect 39-year-old Charlie Morton to outpitch Merle Kelly, and the Diamondbacks lineup's being hot. But I tell you what, I don't want the Diamondbacks here. Joe Yurkovich says, for those who believe in momentum, this is a momentum look for the Diamondbacks. Rocco Rogers is on Merle Kelly over 5.5 Ks at plus 114 and Diamondbacks money line at plus 110. DC Capper, I don't fully understand. Sorry, I know you've tried to explain to us, but is the 3 closest to Arizona. I mean, you're on Arizona.
I don't know. I've seen a couple people that do that. I don't understand it either.
Yeah, I wish we could figure out a different way, because we do really respect you as a capper, DC capper. So if we could figure out, I mean, like, Justin McElvey just puts Diamondbacks plus 108, so there's no question about it. Noli knows on the first 5 under 5. I like that look. I like that look on the first 5 under. But I'm just going to stay off of this spot. I'm going to stay off of this spot. Oh, so it's okay. No, I get okay. So 3 units on Arizona, Atlanta. So
right? That's like what on what though?
It's because Arizona's first. Does that mean we just? I know he's explained it to us, but things are going so fast that it's just tricky here. Mike M. runs batted in has been so hot, and he's on Riley RBI at plus 165. Okay, I'm off. I'll cheer Cabby on. Braves team total over 4.5. I'll cheer Justin McElvey on. Stacks play today. Diamondbacks plus 108. But I am going to stay off here. We have just 3 games left, and I can't wait to talk about my double up. But next up, 9:40 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Cubs and San Diego Padres, Petco Park in San Diego, California. Man, has Jameson Taillon fallen off. Another example of us trusting the New York Yankees brain trust when it comes to pitching. They sure do a great job there. Jameson Taillon has not looked good since he left. Sean saying first selection is always his side. The number represents the unit size. So if you want to copy and paste what Sharon said and then post that after your play or at the end of your play, then everybody will always know what you're talking about. And the reason why we're talking about it is because we care about what your action is, and it's just difficult for me to decipher. When I see number 3, I don't think it's 3 units.
I think third bet.
Yeah, so that's all. But we don't need to hammer this home. All right, Jameson Taillon versus Michael Walker, Petco Park in San Diego, California. Let's go to the weather first in San Diego. And this is, as I said earlier, minus 9% run rate and minus a 5% home run rate here at Petco. And when we take a look at Swish, 65 Fahrenheit, 8.1 miles per hour left to right and slightly in. It should help the pitcher's movement in this one. So, and JPZ says it does the fact that on the road, Braves haven't scored more than 4 in the last 3 road games. I think the sample size is not quite enough. By the way, Rocco Rogers loving Mike M's RBI look. Let's take a look at the line history here in this one. Taillon, Walker. We have the Padres opening up at minus 162, and they're now at minus 157. There had been a move earlier, and this is a move, based on 10:44 a.m. by the public towards the Cubs. There's, a little bit of buyback on the Padres. I do not understand why there hasn't been a move towards the Padres. Ella, please, sweetheart. Yeah. Okay, please. Okay. There will be a lot. Okay. I love you, sweetheart. Okay. Okay, Taillon versus Walker. I cannot believe there's not been a move towards Walker. The market seems to be telling us, at least on the money line, that Taillon's capable of having a good start here. Let's take a look at what's going on with this total here. Walker, Taillon. This opened up at some books at 9. It didn't open up at Pinnacle at 9. The books that did open up at 9 had it heavily juiced to the under, minus 125 to the under. At this point, there's been no movement on the total. It opened up yesterday at 524, over 8.5 minus 112. It's now over 8.5 minus 115. So there's been no movement. Troy Torrance sees a massive movement. So again, it depends what you look at. And so I have no movement at Pinnacle on either the total or the side. So let's take a look at the cash flow and see if that helps us here. Give me a second. Here we go. The cash flow we have on this one, we have 85% of the tickets and 40% of the cash on the Padres. I mean, your X's and O's have to I've got to dig deep here and figure out what these big bets are looking at backing the Cubs here. 15% of the tickets and 60% of the cash. This means to me now that there's zero chance I'll be on the pod. That I have to move on. I have to find a reason to move on the Cubs or I stay off. We have 47% of tickets on the over, 89% of cash on the over, and it's not moving off the 8.5 at Pinnacle. Tyone's last start, an 8-5 loss at home versus the Reds, didn't look good. 4 runs over 4 2/3. He's an 8.04 ERA and a 1.69 WHIP, but he's only throwing 31 in a third. He's been bad on the road, 7.80 ERA. It's only 15 innings, but 290 opponent's batting average. Michael Wacha has been so good this year. His last start, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 homer, 4 K, 0 walks, and a 3-2 extra inning loss at the Yanks. At home, 3.38 ERA, opponents hitting 229 against them. Neither team's hitting righties, 221, 675. Cubs bullpen's been atrocious. Padres bullpen's been excellent. Rick J says the Cubs are 0-8 in Tyone's 8 starts. What in the world are the Sharps seeing on the Chicago Cubs? Take it away for us, Daby Cab, Cubs, Padres.
And I said this earlier. I think it was Lyles we were talking about. Shout out to anybody that does cash this. Me, I'm not betting somebody who's 0-8 thinking that they're going to get right here. I don't care what anything says to me. The Padres, they were slumping for most of May, most of the season, but really most of May. They had a few strong displays there. They've been without Manny Machado now. So as soon as they get Tatis back, Machado's out. He's going to stay on the IL for this upcoming series against the Cubs, most likely. But even with them out, San Diego scored 18 runs in 3 games against the Nationals there, 14 runs in 3 outings against the Yankees, and 20 through 3 games with the Marlins. So they've really been able to put up runs of late, if you look at that. And on the other side, the Cubs have just won 3 games. They just won a 3-game series over the best team in baseball in the Tampa Bay Rays. So if you want to talk about momentum or letdowns, that's something definitely to think about. But we've touched on it. Chicago's 0-8 here in this situation with Taillon on the mound. And I can't bet something that I'm expecting or somebody that's due. He's meeting San Diego for the first time since 2018. So there's not really much that I would take for the stats. The current Padres are 15 for 37 with 6 doubles, a couple of home runs against him. But like I said, he hasn't pitched against them since 2018, so that doesn't matter to me at all in the slightest. I understand this being a bad travel spot for the Padres, and this isn't a spot that I would want to back the Padres by any means, but I'm still not getting behind an 0-8 starter here. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not just going to let the market completely dictate what I'm supposed to do, but Mike M, every time he said this, it is cashed. Bogart's RBI at plus 170. If you're only playing one prop today, smash away.
Every time he said it, it's cashed?
Yeah.
Damn.
And in the first inning.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sure this will be a big part of our big Friday night live stream this evening. All right. I'm going to have to stay off. Piker says this is one where there wasn't line value to bet the Cubs, and nobody wants to lay the juice to back this Padres team at the wrong price or break-even price. So he's out.
He put it exactly how I was thinking.
All right. Let's move on finally to one spot I moved on before the game started. And Troy says this is why you need the market efficiency database. The Sharps get crushed in this environment. Wow. I love it, Troy. Troy's is going to become a bigger and bigger and bigger part of everything we do here. But I love it, Troy. All right. Yankees, Dodgers. Now, I found it very difficult to have action that I could bet and then talk about on the show this morning. Not this show. This is easier because we start 11 a.m., but the show at 7 a.m. on Toronto radio. And I didn't feel like I was forcing it, but this was my spot. Yankees, Dodgers. Also, on Sunday Night Live, we have Yankees, Dodgers, and Game 2 of the NBA Finals is going to be magic. Tonight, look at all these baseball games you guys are going to get to break down, and you guys get to talk about this game before it pops off. So I moved regular unit size, but first 5 and full game on the under. I got 4.5 and 8.5. I had to pay a dime extra for each, minus 120 on each. And I knew it was going to move to 8. I was certain it was going to move to 8 by the time we started the show. It moved to 8 like an hour after my radio show. But it hasn't moved much since. It's at 8 at minus 115, so it hasn't moved since then. And the under 4.5 is now at minus 130, so 10-cent move there. Severino versus Clayton Kershaw. And I got to talk a while about this spot here this morning on radio, but let's pull up the weather first. This is 65 Fahrenheit at first pitch down to 60. 9.8 miles per hour out to right field down to 7.4. It looks offensive until you go over to Ballpark Pal, which gives it minus 3% runs, plus 5% homers, minus 9 doubles and triples. Then we'll go to the line history here in this one. Now, when I made this bet, the big bets were on the over, but Pinnacle had moved it to 8. But Pinnacle moved it at 8 at 11 p.m. None of the other books had, which told me that there was some people betting the over and people respecting that. And I looked at Kershaw and what he's done lately, and it's been bad. But 4 of those 5 starts have come on the road. And this guy plays with enormous intensity. And the Yankees are coming to town. It's going to be sold out at Chavez Ravine, and he's going to be fired up. And I think that he's going to pitch well. We'll start with the line history here. Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers opened up minus 136. They're now minus 131. 5-cent move to the New York Yankees. We'll go over to the total. This total opened up at 8.5 and is now at 8. This got back to 8.5 again. Wow. At 7:53 a.m., this went back to 8.5. And you could have got the under 8.5 at minus 111 at Pinnacle. Then 10 minutes later, right back to 8. Then it got juiced. At 1:12 p.m., this under 8 was minus 117. It's now minus 114. So we have a move to the under and a move to the New York Mets. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this spot here. Our second to last game on the card. 65% of the tickets and 81% of the cash on the New York Yankees. 56% of the tickets and 71% of the cash is on the under. I'm comfortable with all this. Very, very comfortable with all this. DC Capper, a better way to do that would just to write Toronto and the line. That's the way we all do it. That's the way the books do it. That would be the way I would say your new way should be. But, of course, it can be however you want, completely and how you want to handle things. Luis Severino has only had 2 starts. In his first start, he went 4 2/3 with 4 hits, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 1 walk in a 4-1 win at the Reds. It was a batter's ballpark, offensive spot. He was on a pitch count, and he looked very good. His last start, he went 6 2/3, allowed 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 3 walks, and a 3-2 extra inning win at home versus the Padres. This is a huge spot for him. I think he steps up in this situation. Clayton Kershaw, his second to last start, he got touched at St. Louis by the Cardinals, who rake lefties. His last start, he got touched by the Rays, who rake lefties. The Yankees hit 247, 851 OPS versus lefties. So you could say, he's going to get touched again. Or you could say, this is this is an easier spot than those last 2 at home against the Yankees. And I believe that. So Danielson says, is Servino the sticky icky guy, or was that Herman? That was Herman, but likely both of them. Dodgers 252, 785 OPS versus righties. The Yankees bullpen's been excellent. The Dodgers bullpen 4.35 ERA, 1.21 WHIP is getting better as the season goes on. I think this is going to be electric atmosphere with 2 spectacular pitchers on the mound, and it's going to go under. And I bet it. And it's the only one that I bet before we got to the show. Take it away, Dabra, Kadabra, Yankees, Dodgers.
I was so interested when you said double up to here because I hadn't seen what it was yet. And I tell you what, you doubled up on the same thing that I would look at in this game. We've touched on it. His last 2 starts for Kershaw haven't been the best for him. He struggled, but he's back home. And if we look at what Kershaw's done at home, it's not just good. Like it's fucking brilliance. It's outstanding, is what it is. You'll never find numbers like this for pitchers. He's had 4 starts here at home so far this year and only given up 3 runs. That's across 24 innings. And he's got 34 strikeouts in those 24 innings. That's what I'm talking about. That's just outstanding. And 1 walk. So like I said, I expect brilliance out of Kershaw. Due to that, if I was betting aside, I'd be on the Dodgers here. I think Kershaw is going to be electric tonight. I think this is a spot for him to bounce back. I think the slump, I've talked about this since it was said. The dude's mother died. That's a big deal, right? And he kind of slumped right after his mom died. Okay, well, he's had some time to mourn, and I'm not saying that it's over, but I think this at home against the Yankees, Dodgers at home, this is Kershaw, man. Kershaw's going to be lights out tonight. I truly think he is.
This is just going to be absolutely electric. And
yeah, absolutely.
Brian Smith saying Yanks team totaled over 3.5 minus 120. Says old man Kershaw don't make it through 5 innings.
That old man's got 34 strikeouts and 24 innings pitched at home with 1 walk this year.
I would rather have Kershaw off of a bad start than Kershaw off of a spectacular start.
He competes, Jimmy. He's not happy with what just happened.
No, and it happened in St. Louis and in Tampa. And 4 of his last 5 starts have been on the road. And look, he did not look that good in that twin start. 4 innings, 2 earned runs. It wasn't bad. 7 strikeouts. It's not a bad start. But that start against the Cards at home, I watched, and he was unbelievable. It was goosebumps. He had back-to-back starts at home versus the Mets and the Cards, where he allowed in over 14 innings 5 hits, 18 strikeouts, and 0 walks. Come on.
I've been very close to the evolution of Kershaw. I played against him when I was in high school. He was a senior and I was a sophomore. I actually pitched against him. He started for Highland Park and I started at Wiley.
Wow.
Yeah, we went again. I lost. I got the loss 2-0. The only 2 runs that were scored, he hit a 2-run homer off me. I've probably said that before, but I pitched a good game. It just sucked. But anyways, his evolution as a pitcher, because a lot of people, when they talk about, this pitcher's lost it or things like that, he was throwing 97 in high school. He doesn't throw anywhere close to that now. And I don't know if it's by choice or if he's like Cliff Lee. Like he's got almost like the Cliff Lee effect where he's cool throwing the ball 89 to 91 miles an hour and hitting his spots and making it move. And I think it's partially by choice. I guarantee you, if he wanted to, he could still charge it up and run the ball up to 95, 96. It's not how he pitches. And it's a beautiful thing to watch a pitcher evolve to say, look, I can throw at 96 and it's going to be flat and get touched, or I can throw at 89 with run on the outside corner and make somebody whiff. That it's just beautiful. It's all mental, and it's a cool thing to watch somebody do.
Was Matt Stafford on that baseball team, or was he only?
He was on the football team. He wasn't on the baseball team. I don't think he was on the baseball team.
Well, he threw 96. Stafford.
Baseball?
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't face him then. I know he was on the football team.
By the time it was, if Stafford, if
they were the same age, so yeah, he was on the team.
If we're talking senior year, I bet he was just focusing on football. But Stafford threw 96, and we used to joke about how, man, if you have Kershaw and Stafford in your grad class,
they were our quote unquote rivals. Like Wiley and Highland Park are rivals. It was like they had Stafford at fucking QB and Kershaw on the mound. Just sucked to have that as our rivals that year.
Oh man, nobody else was getting pussy in that graduating class. That's a tough to compare yourself to those two. The funny thing for us was that our football team in grade 12, they went 0-8, which was the best thing for us. I don't want the running back, one of my best buddies, lived right across the street from me. And just the fact that they went 0-8 made sure that they didn't corner the market in the
0-8.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it, man. It brought
great.
me so much joy. It brought me like huge joy. All right.
You were probably such a dick.
It was fucking awesome. And I love Chris Harrison. Great guy. He was a running back, star fullback. All right. I'm on the first 5 under, full game under. Joe Yurkovich is locked in the Dodgers minus 135. Brian Smith says he throws 10 Ks or gives up 5. He'll take the 3.5 at this price on the spot. Look, Brian, clear that the bigger bets have come in on the Yankees, so nothing wrong with your spot. Brian Smith says the Dodger pen hasn't been great, so maybe he gets him through 6. I don't see him into the 7th. I cannot wait to watch this baseball game.
Hell yeah.
Johnny Gunn says when you peak in high school, yeah, it's well, Kershaw didn't and Stafford didn't. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He chose. With my whole point was that I think he can probably still throw 95, 96. I think it's a pitching choice to do what he does.
He's not as old as we think he is. He's just been pitching for a long time. I can't wait to watch the game. And I think Luis Severino is going to pitch excellent. I think, sometimes now maybe they both get lit up and smoked, but I think that, when you go up against elite competition, you raise your game up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Sold out Chavez, Ravine, Yankees, Dodgers, and we get to do it on Sunday night. So I'm very, very excited. All right, let's talk about the last game on the board and break this down here for us. Baltimore Orioles at San Francisco Giants, Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. Dean Kramer against Logan Webb. This was a wildly interesting situation because Logan Webb has been unbelievable his last few starts. And, his last start on the road, 11 strikeouts and 1 walk, allowed 1 earned run in 7 innings. At home, he's got a 1.65 ERA, 2.46 opponent's batting average. And yet, there was all this sharp money on the Orioles. Let's break it all down. First, we will start with the weather in this spot. Our final game on today's show. 59 Fahrenheit at first pitch, 11.1 miles per hour out to center. It dies down to 8.5, but it doesn't matter at Oracle. And it shows here when we pull up the ballpark pal, minus 27% home run. Minus 8% runs. So the weather swirls. Don't pay too much attention to it. From a money line perspective, that's where we'll start here. We have Logan Webb and the Giants opening up at minus 151. That's exactly where they are. How could that be? Means that the Orioles are live. Take a look at the total. This total, and it means Kramer's going to pitch great, even though we haven't seen that too often. Pinnacle moved it to 7.5 at 1044. Not all books have followed. Let's see, is Bet 365 followed? Let me just go right to their site. They have not followed. That's an 8 at minus 120. And let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. Our final game on the card. 48% of the tickets and 96% of cash are on the San Francisco Giants. That's just nuts. 54% of the tickets and 82% of cash are on the over. I mean, how wrong can the books make it look like the betting public is? Sorry, it was a tricky thing to say, but you're telling me that 82% of tickets are on the over and Pinnacle and most books have dropped it from 8 to 7.5. You're telling me 96% of cash on the Giants and you haven't moved it 1 cent off the line? Rick J says, graduated the same year in high school. Kramer's first time in San Francisco, coming home to visit family. 2 local pitchers, Kramer from Stockton, Webb from the Sacramento area. Wow. So Kramer's last start was quality. At home versus the Rangers, 6 1/3, 3 earned runs, 5 Ks, 2 walks. But he hasn't been great this year. And on the road, he's been okay, but 336 opponent's batting average is wild. Logan Webb has been spectacular. The Orioles have slowed down against righties. The Giants have as well and don't have power against them. The Giants' bullpens all of a sudden looked excellent. The Orioles bullpen 4.15 ERA. Yeah, great to have you in the chat, Brian. Thank you for joining us. Johnny K is on the Giants, and you guys know how I work. As much as I would love to back Logan Webb, there's a 0%. It's Orioles or pass at this point. Take it away for us, Daby Cab. What do we do with this wild market?
Man, I'll tell you just a little bit of the stats with Webb. He's been outstanding this last month. He went 3-0 in May. He only surrendered 5 runs. That was on 25 hits, 9 walks across 34.23 innings. He pitched last Saturday. He threw 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. We talked about that earlier because we were talking about Burns. Burns was on the other side in that game. But they got the 3-1 win. He allowed 4 hits, a walk, while punching out 11. He had 11 strikeouts in that game. He's now in the 63rd percentile in expected batting average and 65th percentile in expecting slugging percentage. I think his numbers are going to keep getting better. The Giants have improved lately at the plate also. I'm thinking they're going to be able to hit Kramer here. San Francisco has recorded 109 weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitchers over the last 10 days. And the Orioles here, they're going to have the Orioles have been struggling of late, and they're going to have a much taller task here in this matchup against Webb because he's been pitching, like I said, in May at the absolute highest level. And also the Giants bullpen has been outstanding in the last 10 days, posting just a .79 ERA. That's great across 45 and 1/3 innings of work. And on the other side, the Orioles bullpen has a 5.8 ERA, a 4.32 FIP in the last 10 days, and that's in 35 and 2/3 innings of work. So everything puts me towards the Giants here. The market tells me the other way, so I just stay off.
You know what that's going to tell me is to bet the under. To bet the first 5 under and the full game under because I think, don't we know what Logan Webb's going to do? Pitch well.
Yep.
So the market is telling us that Kramer is also going to pitch well. And I can still get the 8. Also, we're sitting here with 82% of tickets on the over. I want to be up against that money. So, and 4.58 ERA for Dean Kramer. I can see it. I can see what would the public be thinking? Oh, the Orioles offense is excellent. They'll be able to get something off of Logan Webb. And look how bad Kramer's been this year. The Giants are going to get their runs off of Kramer. So
I like the under. That's where I would lean in this too, definitely.
Well, I'm going to move on it. First 5 full game. I'm going to get the 8 here, and I'm going to get the 4. Why would the 4 be juiced to the over? Let me just take a look at this first 5 just before we put a bow on this and review all action here. Why would that be? Let's move over here quickly to first 5. If that is like moving towards the over, then I'll maybe but Pinnacle it's not. Why would Bet365 give me? Wow, it did go up to 4.5 at one point. Oh, but it was not really. It was a plus 106 to the over. So, but the over was being bet. This over opened at over 4 at minus 120, got up to minus 125, and then it's been coming down. Mike M says 96% cash on Giants and no movement. San Francisco in a 32-12 spot. Joe Yeager says you can get the Orioles first 5 plus a half at plus 105. Wow. Are you serious? That is unbelievable. I can get, they're not offering me first 5 on this game. Why? Why are they picking these spots not to offer alternative lines? I mean, wow, that's just, why would they be doing that? Robert Cherry liking that Orioles first 5 plus a half. All right, let's review all action here. I'm sure BetOnline is offering it, so I'll take a look there. Let's review all action in MLB. Brewers, Reds, we stayed off. I'm going to move on the Marlins. I think first 3 minus a half, minus 110 is my expectation, but I'm going to look a little more. But that's it's not being offered at Bet365. Why would they? Not because they're worried about people betting the A's plus a half. Phillies, Nats is off. Cab moved on the Cardinals first 5 minus a half, plus 103. I'm moving on the Cardinals first 5 minus a half, full game minus 1. Cab is on the first 5 over 4.5 in Rays. Red Sox going heads up with Jose, who's on the first 5 under. Razor Sharp picks Gamblers first glance. Blue Jays money line at plus 120. Catch Razor and Daby Cab here on this channel tonight, 8 p.m.
I'm canceling my last lesson tonight since it's our last show. I'm going to make sure that I'm there for the start with you, Razor.
Oh, that's dope. Jays first 5 in full game I find extremely interesting, and I expect to move on it. Mariners, Rangers, we stayed off, and that was a tough stay off. Tone Miggins is on the Astros money line. I'm joining him on the Astros. I'm on the Guardians. I'm going to be on the first 3 under 2.5 at plus 120 in Colorado, Kansas City. Larry Garr gave us the over 9 in that spot, and Ron Crawford's on the Rockies plus 105. Tigers, White Sox, we stayed off. Justin McElvey stacks play today is the Diamondbacks plus 108. Cabs on the Braves. Team total over 4.5 minus 122. I'm off that spot. Mike M gave us Xander Bogart's RBI plus 170 and says if you're only playing one prop today, smash away. I doubled up on the Yankees Dodgers under, and I'm going to do the same in the Orioles Giants. And that is our MLB breakdown. What a battle that was. Excellent work, Daby Cab. I apologize for my sickness issues, but excellent work, my friend. Please follow Daby Cab on Twitter. Is there anything you were close to adding, or are you comfortable with your spots there? You're muted, my guy.
Fuck, I did so well today. There's a
Okay.
couple. I'll tweet it if I do. I'm good with these 3 for right now. Like I said, I was close with the Angels but I think I'm just going to stay off of that, especially with all the money coming in on the Angels and the market not moving. I think I'm good.
I love it. Thank you for making the time for us. We only get you every second Friday, and we're thankful to have you. Love the insight on the pitchers, and look forward to doing this again very, very soon. Have a great time on the big show tonight. Razor's last Friday night live with us here at Pub. And thank you so much for being a part of it. Any last words, Daby, for the Capper Sport in the show?
Man, I always have to end it with talking to you guys in the chat because we don't have anything without you, man. I have learned so fucking much from you, Jimmy, Pete, Razor, and you guys in the chat. I learned something new every day from you guys. Thank you. Morgan, Nunya, my guy right there, Nunya. Rick J, I was about to say Leroy. There we go. I don't want to fuck your name up, man. Leroy, Mike M, RVD, everyone, man. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't tuned in to the Sesh After Dark or the Sesh, at least give it a try. Click it. See what's up. We're having a good time. Come in, kick it with us. And that's it, Jimmy. Let's get some fucking money.
Respect. Dabra Cadabra. That is our week. We are in the books. Thank you for sticking with me through the sickness this week. It was rough. Let's bring on our producer, Jose Bouquet, to the show to put a bow on this. Jose, who are you starring with on Fridays? I know who it is, but let the chat know who is on Say Hey Plays of the Day with you.
Fridays, we have Connor Mack joining us. It'll be a great time. Takes this shit seriously, as you once said. So shout out to Connor. It'll be fun. I've tweeted out some action already, and it'll be a good time.
I love it. And who do you have on Saturday?
The aforementioned Daby Cab.
Dabra Cadabra. I love it. So not this week, but next week after your show, you come join our Belmont show and hang with us.
Yeah, I'm going to get slapped in the tits that next week. I think, oh, no, that's the 17th, actually.
Another tit slapping.
Potentially, yeah. You know, I'm going to that guy's wrestling event. I told him he could slap me in the tits again while he's walking down the runway or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It'll be a great time.
Mike M says, what's the blowing dudes from behind play of the day? It did cash yesterday. It was the over 8 in Cleveland.
I'm really good at blowing dudes from behind. You know what month it is, as everyone likes to freak out about now. But let's blowing dudes from behind. Cardinals first 5 -1/2. You know, great times. I'm believing it. Like we've mentioned, that's the spot movement where I want to be at. They just keep making it appealing for the public or whoever to bet the side that has less of the money or more of the money, excuse me. So, yeah.
I love it. Our guy, Robert Cherry, Reds money line, Toronto money line, Rockies money line, Rays first 5 under, Cleveland money line, Braves money line. Mike M says, how can I not tail that one? Oh, I get it. Thank you for all your hard work, Jose, my friend. Have a great show with CMAC. Please send him our love. Let's go out there and get that cash. My throat and talking is done. It was a tough one. Can you, well, first, thank you so much to all of you guys sticking with me through the trials and tribulations of the sickness. Andrew G, Nasty Nate, Nunya, Mike M, Sharon, Real Deal, Prime, UPK, Ayash, Yala, Viper, NB, John Gilly, Morgan Spooner, Leroy, Flood, Joe Yurkovich, Rick J, RVD 420, Brian Smith, Johnny K, Noli knows. Love it, you guys.
Where's my guy Brian Smith from yesterday? What a disappointment.
Sorry, what's that? Sorry. He's not been around. He is not been around.
I had a winning day yesterday, and he just disappears. What a pity.
Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back. I'm sure he was very happy that you succeeded.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's
Because he
all right.
says he does like you as a person.
You know, I remember all the trolls. Their memory holds because whenever I succeed, I give them a big fuck you in the head. Brian Smith, all guys like that. Just really grinds my gears.
It's Barry, by the way, if you want to be
Brian Barry, whatever the fuck, Barry. I just remember his last name was Smith with a Y in there. That's fucking weird as hell. So
it's not weird at all.
yeah, I don't know. But Dabby did push my button today, so I was a little bothered, perturbed.
Perturbed. Good use of perturbed.
Thank you. I was a little perturbed this morning as well. So I didn't know we just had a bunch of pussies in the chat sometimes. I didn't know. It's just, it's just shocking to me. But thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate you guys. And Nunya, I appreciate you, my man. I hope the haters do show up because we'll make them fucking sick. Rick J, appreciate you guys. Mally Mal, D Jenkins, one of the aforementioned pussies in the chat right there. Morgan Spooner, Equinemius, and I want to give a block out, Jimmy. I really do, but we'll just move on with our day and have a lovely evening of baseball. Appreciate everyone for watching. Thanks, everyone. Say hey and fucking like J-Lo's bookmakers. Let's get it.